Hello and welcome to the Element Solos Cash Cup Finals. We have our two Beardy boys up here. I'm OSK. With me is Mana Class. How you doing today?
I mean, look, you always say we prepare some lines, we prepare some jokes, but I'm still waiting to be able to loot you for the game to add a pirate hat so we can call something booty because that's loot and then it won't be inappropriate. That's all I'm
Tell
waiting
you
for,
what.
OSK. So
I'll tell you what. I don't care if it's appropriate, inappropriate. I do like me some booty. So, in any case,
yeah.
we're getting ready for these games coming up. We have a really good lineup for you guys today. Of course, these are the winners of the past two qualifiers that we've previously had. Some names you might recognize even from yesterday. Of course, we have Megaverse out here, Kamsky as well, Solar Bear from Team CL, as well as Meba from that same team. Also going down the list, we have some familiar names as well. We got Blue Flu, a prominent content creator
Mm.
there in the community, as well as some EU boys. We got Next, and it looks like we're going to be having one more member. I'm looking for him. I can't find him, so I'll pass it on to you. It's a big list of all these names.
From the EU boys, you mean? From next and next Bersolino and Death are usually they're not all in here though, but yeah, next is definitely in there.
Mm.
I mean, this entire list is so hard to go through. Like, if you would really look at everyone that's on there, I mean, we can
It's
read them
30
all out.
talented names.
Yeah, it's just a lot of talented names. So, like, the really interesting thing to do, of course, is to look at like the past two qualifiers. We have two qualifiers for this, two solo qualifiers, and to look at who came out of that one and like the top three, because that usually gives you a little bit of an idea of who's probably going to be fighting for the top prizes today. I mean, I remember the first qualifier very vividly, mostly because it was a qualifier where everyone was playing for second because
Yeah.
Megaverse just did not want to stop. And that's fair. I mean, you want to qualify, you want to convince, you want to like strike fear into your enemies. But question is, of course, also it's been 2 weeks. How good's Megaverse still going to be, and how much better has everyone else maybe gotten?
Yeah, in fact, I'll call out two names right off the get go. We have Kamsky and Darkbreakers who are going to give them a very, very big run for their money, as well as a contender here, CL Meba. I haven't seen him in a
Mm,
finals environment, but usually whenever we're playing solos, whenever we get those scrims going, me and you in particular know this. CL Meba, formerly known as Flaming Dragon, really loves to pop off and get a very high number of exiles. Notably, he's been
sure.
playing a lot of Tempest after the squall buffs. He's been bunny hopping, he's been getting those 63 damage fireballs. So we'll see if he brings it back here for today. Also of note from that same team, of course, I already called it out, but we have Solar Bear, notably on Frostborn on that newly buffed class, as well as his teammate Cozy. Really, all of these names I just mentioned have the potential to win today. It's just a matter of if they can perform to their fullest.
Yeah, the No Ace, Kukuzi, Trago, Lovell, it all comes out. And like you said, we've seen a lot of them yesterday in the trios finals, but also the ones that we haven't seen that are in here can still, show up with a surprise. Like, there's a reason why they're qualified because they were some of the best players. And Spellbreak is luckily a game mode where sometimes the luck of the draw can just fall your way. As long as you have
Yeah,
some mechanics to back it up, then you can be golden.
Yeah, as much as we hate to talk about luck in this game, it can play a big factor, especially if you're in
Yeah.
between, say, 10 people trying to third party you, fourth party, fifth. The numbers go up. So
Yeah.
it's really going to be a matter of who can. I like to use this analogy a lot. It's like you're watching two boxers fight each other. You want to play the referee. You want to stay outside of that action. Want to make sure there's no illegal holds going on. And then if someone messes up, then you tag them. Make sure you give them that nice little penalty. Sometimes you'll come up with two exiles, but at least one. You can go ahead and clean up and make sure everyone's playing a fair game. So, um, the person who can do that the most today, I think, is going to be the winner of today's event. Of course, Megaverse, a notable name here in the community, doesn't normally have to worry about that. He can usually just steamroll past his opponents, but some players will have to watch out for. Again, Kamsky, Darkbreakers, as well as next we have Trey going here as well. Notably, Gigabyte's going to be wanting to play the referee today with his conduit build, usually wanting to tag from long range. So we'll see. We'll see if anybody can make some adjustments from scrims from what we normally see. But yeah, plenty of ways this could go down today. I honestly could not call out a favorite. It is so close in
No.
terms of my mental placements. I don't think I could accurately call anyone out.
Well, I mean, it's very different as well from yesterday because yesterday, you talk about Untier, the undefeated team. You keep calling them out always and saying, it's still we have to still see if someone can beat them. But solos are such a different environment because they don't have that teamwork that sets them apart from everyone else that they really rely on anymore. Now we get to the solos environments. Even if they're all in it, they're not going to be able to work together. They got to fight each other, which also means that takes a lot of power away from their individual because they have to, contest with each other. And another big difference from yesterday as well is a lot of players you might have seen are going to be potentially playing different classes now. Because if you're on the same team, you cannot play the same class in the trios event, but of course you can play your favorite in here. And with those metas being different, the talent builds being different, classes being different, we'll see if that brings a big shakeup to what we're going to see today.
Absolutely. Of course, notably, it's been in the game for 6 weeks, but I'm still going to call it out here. That buff onto flash freeze. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
it's been a really big determining factor. You're seeing a lot of players, including Megaverse from one of our previous tournaments, take it on the offhand as opposed to, say, a wind or a fire. You're seeing a whole lot of obviously, you're seeing a little bit of a resurgence of Tempest, so we'll see if Kyrie, Caitlyn, or Miba can really put that to good use. But right now, though, oh, look at this. What is this we have in our top left? Is that an improvement to our production quality? I do believe we have the game number. So, guys, those of you watching in the chat, we can be excited about that, moving up in the world. But for right now, we have Trago taking out Riza. We got Gigabyte taking out KG25, not part of the event, but still an exile nonetheless. We got Megaverse actually looking at that fire offhand against a Tempest. So we'll see who exactly this is, or if they will fire back. It looks like there's a lot of movement coming out. Not a whole lot of damage being dealt, so Megaverse going to have to rely on that close range aim, that mid-air fireball action. We'll see if he connects. One more time, we'll do it. And that is going to be the end of TTV Cord Vroy. And that is one exile rich for Megaverse. Meanwhile, we have Miba on the win gauntlet taking out Baloo Flu.
Very nice opening fight right there. Megaverse also already, of course, there on that, well, that first exile count. 32 players in the lobby is, of course, very early in the game to really call out anything here. But let's see if these Space Doritos, as we were actually barely coined them on stream yesterday, are going to actually play a role in this as well. Because, of course, we have a new... I was maybe thinking Galactic Dorito or something like that, or I don't know, whatever. We're going to stick with Space Doritos for now. Megaverse in another 1v1 against another player on his famous Stone Shaper build. Gonna try and get some fireballs on it as well. The fireball blocking a nice toxic spray. And Megaverse, of course, is not gonna go down to Dan the Professional. Professional's in the name, but was not in the game.
No, definitely not. In fact, I'd wager if it's not a bot, that's a very bot-like name indeed. But Megaverse going to make short work either way. We have SYG AMV. This is formerly known as Don't AMV Me, trying to get one last little tick of damage onto his opponent. The flash freeze coming out, like we were talking about, that increased verticality on the barrier wall. It's going to block that extra little bit of lightning. So we'll see if AMV can find that last little hit. He's so desperate, but delicious wet fish with the turn. SYG AMV going to go down. A delicious wet fish with 20 HP left. It's going to find a nice little snipe, and that is going to be exile number 1 for him today.
And don't forget, people, it's a beautiful PlayStation icon next to his name. The console crowd is being represented here at Element Spellbreak Solo Finals. Trago now also going for another of these exiles. Shouldn't be a big problem. Just a few fireballs with toxic sprays and it'll be done. Opponent is on a very low sliver of HP, so Trago will just take out Lovell right there. And that's actually maybe a duel that we weren't expecting to happen so fast, and especially in this fashion. Trago barely losing anything, is not running a scavenging, so that was all just on the back of that fortitude, doing a lot of damage blocking, and Trago's mechanics just completely outwitting what Lovell was trying to do over there. Now he's got this whole area, seems to himself. She's a loot piles extra. Maybe it was a third party going on. As we go over to Q Kuzi and CL Miba taking out Carrie Caitlyn. Unfortunately, that she'll have to try again later. Now Q Kuzi, aka Plop, as we love to always reference to in this community, we'll be running this Pyromancer build, and I honestly could not be unhappy about that. I mean, Pyromancer is a pretty fun class to play around with, especially if you take into account the Firefly movements, the extra burn you get from it, the conflags. It's all, it's all pretty nice. It adds up to a lot of damage if you can get it to the right range, because it's still a lot of air shot capacity that you need to get from it. And combining that with ice, which also requires a lot of precision for that long range, it could sometimes be a little bit unreliable.
Yeah, comparatively, I would say Pyromancer probably one of the more balanced classes in the current meta. Of course, it doesn't it does what it does very well. It's all about damage control. You can apply the ignite, you can always see where your opponent's going as long as you have a tick of damage on them. The firewall does it as well. Direct fireballs will do it, even fire puddles will do it, and that increased radius from a fireball landing against a surface is it's really just all about keeping pressure, keeping constant pressure on your opponent, and it's something that again Pyromancer does pretty well. You'll see No Ace take it. You'll see QQZ aka Plop take it, and again does what it does very well. Now No Ace here been breaking out the new build. Of course, we've been talking about it all week as well as the week before. That Harmony Fervor, definitely different from what he normally runs with the Focus Mana, Fervor, and Recovery. It's very, very odd to see him off of the Focus Mana in recent days, but it seems to be working out for him today. Notably, World Tier did finish a little bit middle of the road for yesterday's Trios event. So we'll see if No Ace is looking to change that. So far, as you can see, we have the Ignite coming on. There's a little bit of pressure applied to his opponent. Going to see what the immediate movement action is. It looks like he might be hiding in a bush or behind the rock. Looks like we have a nice little stun coming out. No Ace looking to follow up with a little bit of damage. He does have a Firefly of his own, but will opt for the Spring Step instead. Not an extra rune charge on that rune. He does not have a runic fluency. Going to opt for one of his favorite gauntlets in the game, Frost, and we'll see if he can land any long range burst.
Long range is probably going to be the name of the game for them as well. I mean, that's why people run the Frost in the offense. If you see someone from long range, you can get these extra damage numbers in. You can shoot down with someone who's running away from you. You can just in general do so much extra with it on a very long range skill that a lot of other classes don't really allow you to do. Pineapple's now in a 1v1 and a lot of pressure here, trying to get away here, and I think you actually will be able to get away because not being chased is exactly what you love to see. And running that Stone Shaper class, I mean, with the fire in the offhand, I like it. It's definitely a build that we've seen a lot, but it's also a build that's was very popular in the last meta before the patch. It's not really seen as much play as of now. I mean, we know that Darkbreakers is running it right now. We know a few other players are still on it, but it has lost a little bit of power since especially the Stone Shaper nerfs were relatively hefty.
Yeah, you know, Stone Shaper, it's mainly off the shockwave that you're going to be seeing those nerfs. It just limits the amount of poke that you can do with Stone. And really what you want to do anyway with Stone Shaper is be that close range brawler, especially grounded. So the playstyle hasn't really changed all that much. It's just a reduction in the long range capability, which Stone doesn't really want to do anyway. So I don't think it'll change how Stone Shapers can be played today very much. I think that these Stone Shapers are still going to be looking to roll out some boulders, get that bowling ball style of play going, and we'll see how it ends up with Gay Pineapples actually taken out next in the kill feed. Big pickup. One of the better players for EU is going to go out on the NA side of things. One thing we forgot to mention, of course, that we have 3 games on NA halftime and then 3 games on EU. So we'll be taking a look at that, as well as, just like yesterday, 4 games being counted out of a total of 6. Meanwhile, we have Darkbreakers getting the last little hit onto Ilya Eats Crayon. That's probably why he went down today. Darkbreaker's saying, I eat regular food. I'm not a fan of that kitty stuff. So he's going to take the Exile, actually number 4 on this game so far, already racking up a decent number of kills, as well as not on his preferred build with the Wind offhand, actually running the Fire, similar to Megaverse and Gay Pineapples. So yeah, feeling pretty strong, got fully educated already, so all he needs to do, just make sure he keeps the optimized range in that little pocket that we know he can explode in. And we'll probably see him do well today. Keep an eye on Darkbreakers. Meanwhile, we have Lil Husi over here, or little hustle. Little hustle.
The little hustle.
I
there.
always think it's an I, and I can't get that out of my brain.
It makes sense, don't worry, but we do know that they're playing on an Xbox account. We're really doing much at that stage, which is where I go over to Elpa Dog, one of the UT members that usually does very well as well. The solos is now under a lot of pressure though, might not get away alive, and Casper indeed finishes up that kill with a beautiful toxic spray. And you just saw that turn around so quickly, and Casper having the scavenging on could just be third party now and be completely fine. Barely lost anything because of that fully charged scavenging. Very educated on that subject. Will always get this armor and health back. And Yeah, I mean, it's a good outcome of that
Mm.
fight, naturally. I mean, he's got 2 exiles on the board, 12 breakers in the lobby. He's got a pretty good position over here. Nice overview on the edge of the circle. And as we go over to Kuzi, also has got a nice opportunity to third party here. Sees a few breakers running around the map, has some nice ice lands to shoot at them, and still some firewalls to block, even if they want to block this escape, which they are doing a pretty good job of. Nice mid-air shot. Is now out of mobility, out in the open, really. Kukuzi might have to try and find a better position, and does so on this tower right here, but is not going to choose to take more of this engagement. It's interesting, since he does have double rune charge, as well as everything else to his disposal, but I think he's just more comfortable in this third-party situation, and why wouldn't you be? If you don't have to be in the brunt of the fight and can still do damage, why wouldn't you? Take that exile for yourself. Take that damage for free.
I'll tell you what, he is smelling blood out here. This one blind faith player who just got chunked quite a bit is going to be hiding, trying to get a reset off. QZ wanting, oh, it's a nice long range snipe. Not going to get the duo though. Not going to get the double, but a very, very nice bit of poke indeed. We'll definitely have to regen that shield. Spend a little bit of time. Meanwhile, QZ doing a good job of just locking down the bridge. He is on the edge of the next safe zone, so he is feeling pretty good about his positioning. That top of the tower going to be a little bit contested later on, so as long as he beats everyone to it first, plenty of ground to cover as far as what he can see. Just barely going to go left with that frost, barely going to go right on that as well. Good dodging by his opponent. Just having a little bit of trouble making something work out here. Going to blow up the toxic tornado, and we'll see him just rotate right in, trying to get a little bit of damage coming out. We do see the Fortitude going to get popped. He's looking for any sort of angle he can get. There's multiple players converging on his position. We have a total of 3 already in his view, and looking on top of this tower here, looking to land a quick little snipe. The Shadow Step going to come out, not going to hit Kuzi. So he is feeling pretty good about that. Actually will opt to abandon this position. Going to get tagged by both a Frost and a Shockwave and 2 Fireballs. Megaverse catching him out of position and absolutely punishing. Already has 4 exiles on the game so far. Not a whole lot of talent points, but it doesn't matter. That damage with the epic rarity, the movement with your epic spring step, it is almost unmatched. Already we can see Darkbreakers raining down 2 meteors from above, so keep an eye out for that. But Megaverse feeling pretty good about these close range engagements.
Kukuzi, poor Kukuzi had a pretty good position, but stayed there for too long and then was surrounded on all sides by many different players. Megaverse is now going to try and figure out this fight for himself. Nice combustion there, make sure the Dragonfire pops for everything that right in that Toxic Cloud range. So Megaverse now should have the overview here. She's going to drop down with that Bedrock. Beautiful Shockwave, and almost follows up with another Fireball. It's going to try and catch up with this player just by the sheer movement. And Cozy with a snipe. That's Darkbreakers out of the game. Unfortunate for Megaverse. Would have loved that exile, but 4 is still decent. And there's only 2 other players. He knows one of them is up there. That's Cozy. The other player is Casper that's still around. So Megaverse, Casper, and Cozy going to be fighting it out for the first game win tonight.
Oh my goodness, I think we just missed what just happened there. Megaverse threw a boulder to cancel out the Toxic Cloud. It's a little bit of a weird interaction, but if you throw a boulder through a Toxic Cloud, it actually makes it disappear. So he's able to protect himself from any kind of damage that Dragonfire would have inflicted. Now finding himself in a very good position here on the high ground, looking to land a few downward fireballs. He actually might not even be down in this area, and Casper's going to have his work cut out for him. He's going to be in between 2 players. We'll see how exactly it's going to unfold here. 2 players on the Frost. I do believe we have 2 Toxicologists and 1 Stone Shaper. So we'll see which class is going to prove. Yes, he did. We'll see what is going to prove to be the better class out here, I suppose. But here we go. We have Megaverse holding down the flat area. Cozy just looking to garden a little bit, trying to get a little bit of that corrosion damage. But he's going to be in between Casper and what looks to be Megaverse as well. Going to re-enter the cloud and try to reposition, try to get a little bit of a reset off, but he does not have Thirsty. He has Escapist, so going to take a little bit of time. We'll see if Megaverse is going to call his bluff, going to call out that positioning. But for right now, Cozy feeling just a little bit safe. Going to find out another target and looking to land this vertical frost. Got to be careful of those boulders. Just a little bit of a difficult time. He will go down to 54 HP and likely lower. The zone going to tick, and that's the end. Ooh. Casper going to get Cozy. It is now a 1v1, Casper versus Megaverse. Who will come out on top?
Well, and whoever gets it gets 1 extra exile and in a position over their opponent. They're both on 4 exiles. They both really want this one. Oh, it's going to be close. And they're both doing so much damage to each other. Casper is running to Thirsty, but I don't know if he's going to get the space to actually heal. Barely gets some off, actually, but so is Megaverse. So they're both healing up. The Dragonfire almost doing some damage. I think it might have done some, maybe, but both of them are just behind walls trying to heal up as quick as possible now. And I don't know if Megaverse was running to Thirsty. I forgot to remember that. I think he wasn't. I think he was still on the Escapist as well. You see it right here. No, also has the Thirsty, so they can both have the same capacity. But I think Casper still has more in the belt, and this goes long, and it becomes a healing battle. Doesn't look like it, though. They're actually going to fight off straight in the air. Fireballs flying left, right, and center. There's the boulder fall. Megaverse in a clear health advantage right now. Is trying to get on top of it. The positioning is good, but not good enough. Casper just jumps straight into those last two shots, and that's Megaverse taking game one.
You can see how skilled Megaverse is in that on that last final circle, absolutely
Yeah.
demolishing Casper with those midair fireballs. He mixes both the interaction of the bedrock there and the interaction where if you sorcery cancel or you shoot yet another spell, it'll actually cancel your momentum and then just fire your regular spell. It's almost like an animation cancel.
Yeah.
So really putting that to good use. Going to find himself 5 exiles on the day. Of course, we'll see how that compares with the rest of our competition. Keep in mind that exiles and damage are weighed very, very heavily in this event. So we'll see how exactly that's going to play out for his score on the day and how the standing is. But yeah, a very, very decent start for Megaverse, of course. And it's probably going to snowball forward. Of course, we do have a few other names that finished out quite well. We have Cozy, of course, taking 5 exiles with over 1,300 damage, finishing third in that game. We have Darkbreakers getting exiled a little bit early, but also picking up 5 exiles with a little bit over 900, notably rounding out the fifth place start of the placement for right now. We have Kamsky taking 2 with damage a little bit over 700. Megaverse, though, very big game, going to take over 1,800 damage. Very, very big shoes to fill for our competition.
Yeah, Megaverse was definitely around in that game, so to speak. We'll see what everyone else is leading up to, though, because of course that last few fights were very interesting to watch, and actually looked like Casper was in a great spot to take that game. You know, that third party going on potentially, but I just had Megaverse had just a little bit too much space to work with. The pressure wasn't quite there, and of course you can't just keep fighting when your health is that low. It's understandable for Casper, but the moment he got into that fight, that's probably what dictates that. So if you get into that fight a little bit earlier, when maybe who was the other player there? Cozy has done like a little bit more damage to Megaverse. You might have a bit different outcome there, but it's all those tiny little details that really dictate that. So unfortunately for Casper, this is going to take away second, but it's still a pretty good place in this lobby. I mean, you might not have been expecting that if you're looking at the start of this, like that Casper would be the one that comes out on top of it. But I think that's the beauty about this lobby. There's too many people, too many names that we just don't have any idea who's going to be the clear champion here.
Yeah, it's still anyone's game at this point. Of course, it's only game one. We have a total of 6, and really it's your best 4 games that you can put up that's going to count towards your final score. So very, very long way to go in terms of who can climb up to the top. But yeah, very, very good start for most of our for some of our contestants here. Cozy doing
Yeah.
really, really well in that last little finish there, sealed a nice number of exiles. Now, talking about Casper's play there, of course, it's difficult. It's easier said than done when you're going up against a player as skilled as Megaverse. But it's really tough again. In that last final circle, you don't have a whole lot of space to be able to use your Vanishing Mist or your Frost. And notably, Megaverse is taking that Fire Gauntlet, probably in his head, going to be preventing any sort of Vanishing Mist from Toxicologist, which is one of the more popular classes that solo players like to run. So he's almost running kind of an anti-meta, so to speak. He's doing a really good job with that Bedrock talent, or that Bedrock skill, rather, to make players miss with their Frost very, very frequently. He has that Fire to
Yeah.
cover any sort of counter that Toxicologist can't really deal with, and then that Stone just gives you so much. It gives you so much area control, especially on flat surfaces. So seems to be working out pretty well for him. Of course, can't take away any of the individual skill. His mechanics are absolutely on point today. So we'll see how these players will adapt, and if there will be any change of strategy, or if they just need to execute a little better.
Yeah, those questions are always going to arise as my camera completely loses it on stream, of course, as it always does. We'll fix that as it
I
comes.
think you're
I'm sorry,
underwater.
guys. That's just how it is. Honestly, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna try and put up the fish accent because then we need Aquaman to translate, and that's just not going to happen. So, yeah, I mean, if you look at the scores, right? So we always talk about how important is the placement, damage, etc. And if you look at everything that's going down, Cozy might not have gotten second or first in that game, but still put up a very good score. Is actually not that far. He's got second place overall right now because of that extra damage and the one extra exile that they got. So Casper on number 3 actually tied with the Darkbreakers because they both had that exact same scoreline ending up because of placement. You seed it that way. And on 5th right now we have Gigabyte. So the top 5 is starting to shake out a little bit, but the scores are still too close to really call because there's so many players that are around that 200 plus mark that we'll see where we end up. And of course, prize distribution for today, Osk, because I don't think we've actually talked about that yet, is also quite a fun one to look at.
Yeah, it sure is. I'll get more information as soon as I have that for us. I don't actually have the breakdown in front of me, but yeah, we're going to be having our top 3, of course, taking a very nice little prize. By the way, while we're on the topic of prize, I'll actually bring it up later on because it looks like we're jumping into game number 2. All right, look at that. The production quality coming in. We changed number 1 to number 2. Look at that. Game 2 in the top left. Don't you love to see it? For right now, though, of course, you're going to see Elpadog actually taking out Solar Bear very, very early on. It's just been a little bit unlucky for our boy from Team Colt Levin from yesterday. Solar Bear just absolutely getting called out early on. That's 2 games that he's going to have to make up for already. So these next 4 games after game number 2, definitely going to have to step it up here. We have Coach BK also going to take care of Troll Dentist, and it looks like Meba might be having a little bit of a ping issue. Not sure exactly what is going on here, but for right now, it seems that he is doing a pretty good job of looting up, getting the nice little rarity. Yeah, he's fine. Meanwhile, also who is fine, we have SYG AMV taking out Arthesius, 1826. Blue Flu taking out Dumptown. Ilya Eats Crayon, going to eat up Pang K9er. We're going to have No Ace take out what looks to be the Natch. And Darkbreaker. Darkbreaker's actually going to take out what looks like Gains TV, and it just keeps updating. You know, I could go on forever, but for right now, let's just focus on AMV because he's looting up quite well. He's got 2 purple rarities, and yeah, y'all can read the kill feed. It's a great thing to be looking at, but the action is occurring right here. We have the Mana Vault being popped. We got plenty of gold things over here. It's just a matter of so much action that I can't really keep up with it all. So hopping on over to Level, we'll see how he finishes this one out. Getting a nice little combust tick onto the shield. Nice little re-entry of the firewall. One more shot to take it all. And we'll try to see a little bit of frost probably. Gonna leak his player right out of that area. The ignite plus the combust will do the damage. Wonderful. We'll go out quite early.
Fortunate for Wonderful, but of course Level can now try and bump that score a little bit. Did okay the last game, but didn't actually stay alive for very long. We lost them relatively in the mid game, if my memory serves me correctly. So it's now got a chance to maybe bump up those numbers a little bit. First exile down, probably did a little bit of extra damage there, which is always nice to have. But is 100% going to be looking for the next target ASAP. It's got decent loot. Maybe needs to read up a little bit more, but definitely can go for something here. Interesting to see that Level's running the Reckless as well as the Vigor. So doesn't really need that much armor to begin with. And when you also run the Scavenging, that Recklessness can actually be very useful. Because you do that extra damage, but then you also immediately get the health back if you finish off a kill. So you get more dangerous the longer you fight. And then after you're done fighting, you're immediately back to, good danger levels. I don't know, but it's kind of the explanation I have for it. It's a bit of a weird one, but we'll see. We'll see if that will pay off for Level, as right now, at least the scrolls aren't necessarily with him just yet.
Yeah, and I do believe this particular build comes from a content creator named Crashy. Also, one of our casters here as well, the Vigor Recklessness. You love to see it being brought out here in competitive play. So we'll see how Level treats that one and see if he'll get a good result. Meanwhile, we have G3 Megaverse, already 2 exiles, looking to make it 3. The beautiful movement off of the bedrock, absolutely dashing through these Hololands. Trying to get these mid-air fireballs, though. Gonna accidentally be stopped short because of that mountain slope as the second dash off cooldown. Gonna use it immediately, trying to get a little bit mid-air fireball, and that again is gonna be the end of Gay Pineapples. Notably, Gay Pineapples was running the same exact build as Megaverse last match, and it seems this time that the better user won out. Now Megaverse being interrupted a little bit early, no chance for reset, but doing a great job of kiting. Actually brings the health bars very, very similarly.
Ooh.
But gonna get third party yet again. A huge Ice Lance gonna hit him. That's about 30 HP left for Megaverse. Absolutely gonna need to kite right out of this one. Needs to make sure all the angles are covered. The zone will be coming up right behind him, so need to be a little bit cognizant of that. Gonna hop into the Ruby Grove area where there is much more cover and hopefully try to get a quick reset, but needs to be very, very careful while doing it. Another opponent in the vicinity definitely has his work cut out for him right now.
I mean, his opponent didn't know that he was hit by that Ice Lance, otherwise it would have been a perfect opportunity, of course. Now you can see Megaverse try and take this other player out. He's trying to get to the safe zone. He's just trying to get away. And V, not Rick V, is just going to be taken out as a result. Meanwhile, Kamsky has also been leading next so far. Has been doing, I mean, he did actually did pretty okay the last game. This game though, not so much. Of course, he is still on the non-optimal server as an EU player. And as we see Space Dorito behind Megaverse, I think he's not even gonna bother try and run past the zone. He's just gonna take the respawn or
look at this.
the relaunch. Then we're gonna go into the portal and poof. Gonna be straight over the center of the map, over the Halcyon area, trying to get to the edge of the zone, of course. Don't want to be in smack dab in the middle, because if you're smack dab in the middle, you're gonna get the same issue that QQZ had last game, where all of a sudden he's gonna be surrounded by enemy players.
Yep, absolutely. G3 Megaverse, though, very, very fortunate drop. Actually going to take a little dip on the highest area in the immediate vicinity, Stonetooth Mountain. Plenty of slopes to make his stone worth it, but it actually looks like there isn't a whole lot of players in this location. So that's all he's doing right now. He's just scanning the area, seeing if anybody's going to contest this. Meanwhile, we have Gigabyte, probably the conduit that was giving him trouble earlier on. We'll see how exactly this plays out. It looks like they have picked a fight in the Banehelm area, so maybe that wasn't the case. Right now, Gigabyte doing a good job of just keeping the long range going, wants to make sure he has enough space for that lightning to be worth it. Gonna get tagged out by an Ice Lance, so needs to back up quite a bit. Running the Thirsty Talent, though, gonna make those small potions really, really go. And for right now, just going to hop on over the Fracture. A little bit of a dangerous play. He's going to actually be wide out in the open with no covers. So we'll see if any Ice Lances will sneak their way into his health bar. For right now, though, keeping low and slow. Going to fly away. And now look at this. He has a beautiful little tower. He can set up camp, make this his home, and doesn't really have to do much from here. Plenty of space to make his lightning work out.
Was it shadows? I think it was shadow steps. I think I saw shadow steps behind him.
Oh, could this be Casper actually taking out Cord?
No, I think it's his updrafts. It might be. I don't know. It's interesting.
I don't know.
I think I saw a shadow step effect, but I think maybe two other players were fighting over there. The thing is, in that Banehelm, you think like, oh, he just throws out the lightning strike and he gets out. Why? Well, he already got the exile with it. Trago was taken out by that lightning strike, and he was like, well, I got what I wanted. I'm gonna go to the zone. Bye bye. And then Gigabyte is all of a sudden straight away into the Dust Pool area near the Dust Pool hold, and can just wait for people to try and enter this zone over here. It's a beautiful area to be in. Again, it's his updraft, that smoke effect behind him. It has to be, because otherwise I have no clue what's going on. Someone would be following him and doing nothing.
I guess we're going to be hopping on over to Kamsky here. We'll call him the man of many faces, because usually he likes to run that Toxicologist build, but actually for today's solos, going to be running Conduit. Definitely talented enough to run more than one class, main more than one class. So we'll see how it works out for him. For right now, doing a good job of just keeping the distance here. Actually, a beautiful through the wall Toxic Cloud, going to force his opponent off of the ledge. Going to teleport right out. It looks like there might be more than one opponent he has to deal with. So far, matching his exile count of last game with 2. Hopefully, we'll see him grow that number here as we get going later on. And this is really going to enter the discussion of who is the best solo player in Spellbreak currently. Of course, there's plenty of names that enter that conversation. Notably, T-Foul is not in this particular tournament, so I guess the mystery will still be unsolved as we're looking for that particular aspect. But Megaverse and Kamsky really vying for that title. Notably, Darkbreakers will be looking to work for that title as well, so we'll see how he does today.
Not right this now, game.
Though, not this game, of course. You are correct, Kyrie. Caitlyn actually going to find a nice little exile onto Darkbreakers. But right now, Gigabyte really making a case for himself as well. The tracking coming out, the flight to close the distance. We'll see if this fireball can sneak its way in, but it's actually going to be the lightning. Meba will go down to an absolute just demolishing of health. Gigabyte, though, going to get called out by that Iceland. It's going to lay down a very, very smart flame wall, making sure that nothing can go through it, getting that quick little reset off, looking for that health to regen, but that zone's going to be coming in, going to put a hamper on things. It looks like rotation number 3, quite a ways to go. Actually, don't even see the safe zone in the mini map right now. So yeah, he's going to have to spend all of this rune, all this flight energy that he has, going to have to make it all the way to the southern part. And I think he's going to get ticked just a little bit more. The lightning strike.
He's looking for Dorito. He's looking for it, but also knows it's going to be risky. It's also going to be risky as well, right? Because the zone is so small, someone is going to see you land with 12 players in the lobby. So that's why he's used the fight rune, just runs as far as he can. But he's already under fire by 2 different players. He ice lances and fireballs flying for days around him. Gigabyte's going to get away again. Of course, flight rune, pretty much the best escape rune out there if you can get a good flight pattern going. But for now, has at least found a little bit of a highly hill. Doesn't want to go on top of the tower, knows it's going to be contested, and just make sure that he's not going to get dunked on by a player, because he was being followed. It looks like he's gotten away scot-free from that one.
Yeah, so far it looks like we have...
Because he sees players. He does see players here. He's got 3 exiles. He might want one or 2 more. No, he's not. There's the Icelands. Of course, people are going to be looking at that tower. It's such a landmark. People are going to be on top there. And with the lightning strike as well, this might be the end of Gigabyte. If someone can follow up on this, Gigabyte's basically done for, but he gets the heal back up. All the armor back. Now the health. Gigabyte, how do you survive this? This is pretty much luck, because players knew where he was. 2, like an icicle as well as a lightning strike. That was not the same player hitting him as well, I'm pretty sure.
And I'll tell you what, if you know the history of Gigabyte at all, he is very good at hiding in the Hollow Land, especially when placement was a much bigger factor in element tournaments. So if anyone's going to find that ideal hiding spot, definitely going to be him. UT Kamsky actually getting tagged out quite a bit by this fire. Gonna have to back up a little bit, but it's gonna be No Ways taking the quick little exile. And look at this, such a dominant matchup as well. 8 exiles on the game so far. Gonna get blown up. That's a suicide mission. Casper is gonna blow up both him and No Ways. So No Ways will finish the day with 9 exiles. Huge game coming out from him. But now we're on to Blue Flu. That's 2 grave markers already in the ground. What a weird little engagement that was.
He was running the Harmony and the Fervor as well, so a lot of damage and stuff coming out of him. Blue Flu running a Dragonfire build. This is basically the only way to properly describe it, but has a lot of movement in him. Double runes because runic fluency, the Escapist on, the Fervor for some extra firepower. It's not an uncommon build, of course, because of that element combo. And Blue Flu, doesn't get the exile out of that one. Of course, would have been a third party, but still. And now Blue Flu is going to be under fire himself, on a Dragonfire more specifically, with those firewalls coming out. He's trying to do some damage back. There's more than one player around here, so this could turn into an advantageous situation if he gets to take some distance. And that's exactly what Blue Flu is going to do. It's a smart move. Take that high grounds, take that distance positioning, but it also means you're going to have to eventually get back into a fight of one player that has won and potentially heal back up. Going to be looking for what's going around on the other side, and we still have Lil Hustle in this game. That's good to see. Xbox player doing well. It's got 1 exile on the board, not that much, but still at least 4th placement, maybe even better. That's what you'll have to see. Gigabyte takes down both AMV and Blue Flu, so he was one of those 3 players in that engagement and just wins out both. Now, Carry Caitlyn trying to get out of engagement with, it could be Megaverse, it could be Kamsky as well, if he's still in the game. And it's going to be Oxio actually taken out. So Carry Caitlyn in the top 3 at least, 2 exiles. So we're going to get Lil Hustle, Carry Caitlyn, and Gigabyte fighting it out for the win. And I don't think Carry Caitlyn is going to be fighting for much longer, because Gigabyte just takes it out. And now it's up to Lil Hustle to decide, do I want to try and get an exile, or am I indeed gonna just be second here?
Yeah, Gigabyte gonna flow to the moon right here, just absolutely dominating the spatial positioning right here, doing a great job of keeping that long distance going, letting the lightning do its work. Very, very expert timing of that. Easy peasy. Gigabyte gonna do a little crouch spam on the end, a little bit of BM for your troubles, but he really was dominating that whole entire fight, keeping his distance, making sure everything's good. As soon as you're low, he's gonna fly in with that fire, and if you're gonna get ticked that low from his firewall, it's just one easy little dunk to do it. So 7 exiles and a first place finish for Gigabyte, still gonna be in that conversation here for our standings later on. That's 2 games down. Of course, we have 4 more to go. Keep in mind, guys, that your best 4 scores are going to be counted. Your worst 2 games are going to be dropped. Notably, one of these names that I'm seeing up here that I could see utilizing that particular fact very well. Both CL Miba and CL Solar Bear both dropping out relatively early. We'll see if they can make that improvement. But now that we're in the later part of the NA server, we only have 1 more game on that. After halftime, we're hopping on over to EU. They will be trying to get their best games on their off region. So will they be able to do it? That is the question. Meanwhile, on the opposite side of that
Indeed.
discussion, you have Next. And we'll see if he's going to be making these sort of adjustments on his home server. He normally does, but we'll see.
Yeah, and of course, with Gigabyte now winning that second game and having a decent placement in exile count in the last game, might be actually taking over that first place spot from Megaverse, who finished 18th in that game. Now, like you said, they can delete a few. It's not necessarily the end of the world, but for most NA players, you do want to keep those deletions mostly in the EU region, where you're likely going to be performing a little bit less. Now, two surprising names in that last circle, not because they're not good players, but because we don't often see them in these last circles in scrims and other events. Lil Hustle and Kyrie Caitlyn. Both of them actually doing a very good job in this game. Not the highest exile count, but there's multiple ways to get your scores up. Maybe they did a lot of damage, got a good placement, of course. So, just these games can still put you in the running for those top spots.
I am so glad you called that out. I am very, very pleased, of course, to see my purple face, but also to see Kyrie Caitlyn come out and find herself a nice third place finish. One of the players that I know has potential to come out here and really do some work. Kind of has a little bit of nervousness applied to her. We don't really see her to her full potential, but making a third place placement in a lobby like this one, it's something not even Megaverse could do or Kamski. So something to brag
No.
about there a little bit, and also running a bit of an off build. We saw Spellslinger, Fervor, and Recklessness, and pocketing notably both Lightning and Frost. So both options for that long range engagement should you use it. A little bit something new. Glad it worked out well for her. Hopefully next time the final zone will be a little bit more favorable for her in terms of obstacles for Gigabyte to get through, and a little bit more heals
Yeah.
as well. But we're gonna, of course, gonna find that out here in game number 3. We'll be dropping in very, very shortly. And yeah, we'll see if there's going to be any adjustments coming out from her. Of course, also, I think you're about to call out Lil Hustle on the Xbox, doing very, very well himself. Someone who surprised us the last qualifier he was in on how well he was doing, especially being a new name that he is. So very, very nice to see him in finals, still showing up in that final placement. So we'll see if he can kind of adjust and get higher up on those exiles, because that is going to be hugely important. And yeah, we'll see if they can make those adjustments, get those early engagements, and take the momentum from there.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with his placement so far. And you've got a sixth place, got a second place, but the exiles and the damage is really where it's at. Like we say all the time, placement isn't everything. And Spellbreak, and especially not an element Spellbreak, where we just adjust those values so that people don't go camping out everywhere. Like, you do actually need to actively play, get those exiles, get those damage numbers, because otherwise, just placement will not be able to compensate for it. It's the players that can do all three, get high the XL counts, get high damage count, and get high placements that actually qualify and win these tournaments. Lovell early drop already taken out AMV. Lovell is being good in the early game. That's what I've been noticing. The problem is that Lovell doesn't always get the highest placement as a result if you're being that aggressive earlier on. It's a bit of a high risk strat sometimes. Does get away with it this game, did do pretty well with it last game. Still has to find a way to convert it into maybe some higher game scores over the course of the evening.
Yeah, and you're seeing Megaverse being he's being converged on by 2 separate players over here. This might be an early finish for him here on the last game of NA, but he seems to have kited out most of the damage here, as he seems to have separated himself from the immediate action. So we'll keep an eye on the kill feed for more news on that. Meanwhile, we have Brymer retreating back into the heart of Stonetooth Mountain. Plenty of loot still to go around. He was looking to push that early advantage on the Epic Frost, but realizing that there are multiple people here, going to have to get a little bit better equipped. Notably, he does not have a belt, and also no talent to really build off of that. There's no recklessness here to take advantage of him not having any armor. so he will have to adjust just a little bit there. Notably on Toxicologist running Focus Mana instead of Runic Fluency, a little bit of a change of pace there. And hopefully we'll see him either run either a Dash Rune or stick with the Spring Step. We'll see how it works out for him. We know that lower cooldowns are a big part of the puzzle when you're not running Runic Fluency, so we'll see what he ends up doing. Meanwhile, in the kill feed there, you're going to see Blue Flu take out what looks like a bot, and we're going to see someone who isn't a part of this tourney take out TMB676. Brimer looking for that money shot, looking for any sort of descent onto Ruby Grove. He does have the common Toxic, though, so it's not going to be a whole lot of close range damage. Trying to get the poke out. Megaverse going to make short work of TTV Cordroy. Darkbreaker's going to make he's going to make short work of Stream This, and you can read the rest if you want. But Brimer saying that this is a little bit too dangerous for me. I want to make sure to keep my distance. Going to make sure to stay on these hills and not get right in the middle of the action.
Yeah, definitely. Brimer, I mean, it's kind of just roaming the field. He's going to see what's going on everywhere, maybe try and get some damage in. The Darkbreakers is no such player, just goes in hot and heavy, already 2 exiles, and is looking at another engagement right here, and could take one. He has full health, has a lot of resources, cooldowns are back, no problem right there. Maybe wants a bit of a better Stone Gauntlet, though. It's not the optimal damage you can do with those, but that's okay. Darkbreakers can work with a lot of magic with few magic resources. So Darkbreaker's now going to be trying to take another engagement with this player, but it's being semi-cautious about it. Doesn't really have a lot of long-range options, but is still choosing to take this distance against a player that I think is running the Toxicologist and the Frost in the offhand. So we'll see what the Darkbreakers is going to do with that one. Uses the Bedrock for a little bit of extra mobility, but just activates the Vault and then backs off. I mean, you know there's a player out there. That's the thing, though. Darkbreakers knows there's someone there, knows they could potentially go for the engagement. And I'd say with this build, it's only in his interest to try and take a more heads-up, close-range engagement. But unfortunately, for us as viewers, Darkbreakers is going to choose to sit around, take a bit of a scroll, doesn't pick up any of the legendary gauntlets up, and just goes moving on.
This is what you call commitment to your playstyle. Going to pass up the legendary Frost, arguably the strongest offhand in the game currently. Looks like we're going to hop on over to Troll Dentist for right now. Actually playing a little bit of hiding break. Absolutely playing for that placement till he gets to the EU servers, I suppose. Maybe he's being tracked down by another player. You can see in his gear he doesn't have any belt. I will say he's not AFK. He is rotating his camera. He was holding down the crouch button. So something to note there. Yeah, I'm not sure what the strategy here is, or if he's just trying to play zone for placement. I'm not really sure what's going on. Meanwhile, hopping on over to Wonderful. Looks like we're going to have a little bit of engagement. Actually looks like he stole the legendary Frost off of the ground right there. Notices the value. Going to get a quick slap right here. It's actually one full charge from the Frost that will seal out the last exile. And that will be it. Ilya, with the miss on a Frost of his own, is going to eat that one in the face. Wonderful counting his lucky stars, making him miss the way that he did. Wow, really thanking whoever's up there, because that Frost just came in real clutch. Ilya, unfortunate to see him miss such a straightaway shot. We'll see if he's going to make up the difference there on the EU side of things, but that's going to be the end of his NA run. Meanwhile, we have Trago on the Dash Ecologist over here, really trying to make this one a little bit more popular here. Going to get absolutely demolished by the Chariot, though. Alpha Dog just laying out the flame walls along with those shockwaves, going to make short work, and he's sitting with 2 exiles so far in game 3.
Is he going to take the Space Dorito? Is the Galaxy going to get called upon again for their triangle powers? We'll see later, with someone else maybe taking it. But Kemsky's meanwhile zapping down his opponent. Lightning goes bruh, as we know that OSK cannot pronounce. And we're going to be seeing Kemsky now go straight into the flash freeze, gets almost frozen up, gets out though. Lightning strike not quite hitting, but he wants this exile. It's so close. The other player is so low, but Kemsky cannot finish it off because he gets third-partied by someone else, I think. And now Kemsky is going to fear for his life. So low in HP right here. And it's probably just going to go down. I don't think Kemsky, there's anything he can do. I mean, the spell stuff is brilliant. He gets out. He has so many knowledge potions. Oh no, he gets out and he gets the heal back up. So many teleport charges. Nothing you can do about that. And Kemsky, oh, that's the clutch plays you love to see. In the meantime, though, we do see some things happening in the exile feed. Kyrie Kaylee, unfortunately, out, as well as Lord Fatty 43. will be taken out respectively by Josh
What a
and
name.
Indubitably Nasty, I think. Definitely. I love that one. Kukuzi, though,
Yeah, just
still in
being
this
honest.
lobby. 19 players left. We're going to be seeing what he can do with this conduit build. But he's not hitting the lightning strike, but a lot of lightning bolts are going down. So Kukuzi has plenty of reason to just go in and take this fight up close. Maybe hit a fireball or two, and that will be the end of this enemy player. But does lose a lot of armor. Oh, this is a bit of a sloppy fight. This is
What
kind of,
doth you be doing? Nasty.
yeah.
Nasty, that
I mean,
flight
look,
rune.
it was interesting. That was just a choice. Maybe you had the macro bound differently, trying out new Q binds. Might not be the environment to do it in, but hey, you know, you gotta find something out. It's the same as players switching their aim method, you know, from arm to wrist, or going from linear to aim smoothing, all of those things. There's a lot of things you can do as an FPS player, as a mechanical game player. You have to move your mouse around or your keybinds. We will see whether Kukuzi can get further in this game. Obviously, only one exile with that, so might want to pump up those numbers, as well as Miba is going to be zapping down another opponent.
Yeah, and this is actually a very, very similar build, I would imagine, as to what Nasty was running. You can see a little bit better usage of the flight there. We're not really panicking out. Definitely want to watch that one back on the VOD review later on. But you can see 3 firewall charges already. We're going to hop on over to Darkbreakers, who needs just one more shot. He almost flew through that little window, but not quite going to make it here. His opponent is literally 1 HP, so I'm not really sure why he's not pushing this more aggressively. It seems that either it's a spectator bug or Darkbreakers feel some different kind of pressure. Might be looking out for a third party, and it seems to be the case. We have an outside force going with a boulder, going with a toxic cloud. Wonderful,
nice.
gonna get exiled by a beautiful mid-air fireball by Darkbreakers. That's 4 exiles so far in this game. You can see Darkbreakers just keeping an eye out for any space Doritos, as you like to call them, any arcane rifts. It seems that none are close by in the immediate area. Gonna actually, oh, okay, we did not see that on the spectator client, but it seems that he did find a space Dorito. Actually going to drop on down from the moon here. Going to find himself actually directly over the area he was just in. It seems to me like he's looking for any of those third partiers that were giving him a little bit of trouble earlier on. Going to stay towards the edge of the zone. Going to migrate towards the wedge. Meanwhile, we have Solar Bear out here going, actually lasting longer than 20th place, which is really nice. I think he'll be okay, but I'm looking at the sorcery count. 7 flash freezes with Tundra
7.
on top of that. Oh my. Okay, he's going to be absolutely immortal for at least, what, 0.65 multiplied by
plus
7?
His firewalls.
I can't do
I mean,
quick
if you
math
add on
right
those 7
now,
firewalls as well to just set
yeah.
up shields constantly, always block off 1 or maybe even 2 angles at a time. Like, and he's got the high ground.
Yeah, he's actually immortal.
He's at a really good spot. You know how quickly these things can turn on you, though. Like, sometimes you don't get the time to put these sorceries out, and they're not particularly damage-heavy sorceries. It's not like Boulder Fall or, you know, a Toxic Cloud or maybe even, you know, a Tornado that can come out, or the Lightning Strike for that matter. Like, those are all damage-heavy spells that you can actually quite easily place to do damage. But these are not really that. They're very much more defensive. So defensively, yes. Solar Bear in a great spot. Can maybe even use Thirsty very effectively with it. The problem is, how is he going to get out the damage at the same time?
Just spam your Q button. There you go. There's one of them. So 6 remaining in the pocket here.
Well, he's got 0 exiles. He needs more.
Yeah, but who needs exiles when you have infinite tundras? So I mean, it's really the goal. Do you want to go for the good placement, or do you want to go for the meme? You know, I personally, you know me, I like memes. I'll go for the meme. It seems that Solar Bear is in a similar way of thinking here. He's looking for that exile, just hasn't been able to find one. I wonder what his damage score is up to this point. Usually pretty high whenever at least I play with him. So we'll see how it ends up here. Gonna take the mountain here. Beautiful placement for him to land this frost. Gonna just bang one right in the face. Gonna eat a boulder as well. He's really just looking for any angle, but gonna be interrupted by a third party. Just not his lucky day. Gonna be spamming out that Tundra. Just a little bit. 5 more to go. We'll see how that knowledge ends up for him. And so far, looking to kite out. He is running a little bit of a different build here. Gonna be facilitating all those knowledge potions, of course, but doing a great job of just laying out all of this fast footwork, you know, looking for that angle as well. Gonna have to make sure he's watching his back, as that mountain is a very, very attractive place. So we'll see how exactly he does with that icicle skill as well. Going to highlight any close enemies that he can see in the immediate vicinity. And looking for another one. Not going to quite get that one. It looks like No Ace might have picked that one up on the Kukuzi. But for right now, Solar Bear finding himself in the middle of about 6 players. So we'll need to kite out towards the outside, maybe get a little Mana Vault action going on, the lightning coming out behind him. Just overall, a very, very weird position for him to be in. Meanwhile, we have No Ace previously finishing with 9 exiles, now only 1 so far. Looking to make it 2. Looking for this Frost up there. Gonna land a beautiful one mid-flight. Now looking for the finish. Oh, the double snipe! Gonna take out Meba. You can fly away, but it doesn't matter when you have hands like No Ace, the diamond hands. The no nervousness going down, absolutely holding the line here in Stone Tooth Mountain. No Ace with your 2 exiles so far.
Yeah, definitely gets another one. They're strung them together really nicely. Kukuzi and then Meba. Straight to follow up. That's nice to do. Megaverse still in the lobby taking out Elpa Dog, so that's a big opponent gone for him. And now Josh. Josh we haven't seen much of tonight, actually. But maybe that's because he's not actually. Oh, he is Joshua. I think it's Joshua, right?
Yes, it is.
It's not Josh.
It's
Yeah, I was
Joshua.
gonna say.
Yep.
Has been doing middle of the pack so far. 13 placements, 11 placements, 1 exile total. Did do a decent amount of damage last game, but definitely needs this game to go well in order to pump up those scores a little bit. Maybe 1 or 2 more exiles, get some more damage in, and then Josh might actually have a good game on his hand before we switch regions.
Ooh,
that's a good exile right there. Next out of it, of course, another NA game for Next is going to be switching over to his main server after this, but this is all about Josh. Can Joshua finish off this game with some more exiles, more damage? Well, there's 2 in there, and Josh already gets 1 big slap on him. Doesn't really get the follow-up there, but is at least an okay spot to heal up a little bit now. That's good for Joshua. He needed it. He needed the room. The Solar Bear taken out by Kamsky, and then Darkbreaker's coming in for the third party on that one. And Oxio unfortunately falls into the zone, which is, of course, ticking very heavily right now. We have 3 players left. One of them is Josh. That I think we still have... I'm not going to figure out who we still have left. The Darkbreakers we still have left.
Okay,
and
Dark.
Maybe Megaverse, but I haven't seen him in the kill feed lately.
No.
So
Megaverse got exiled by Next earlier on.
Well,
so definitely not
I don't know who we have. Well, we see
No
it right here. It's
Ace!
No Ace. No Ace. Well, that's second place at least for No Ace. But also second place at least for Joshua. And Josh comes in with the toxic slap, gets him out of there. That's Joshua winning a game. It's like we supported him to get to the top of the victory there, OSK. Like, we were following him the entire time, and then he just gets it. It's like it's a blessing to be followed by us on the cam. Dr. Nut and Strofo just giving him that extra little boost that he needed.
Yeah, as you can see, I've taken a dive into cyberspace. So unfortunately, I can't see it with my own eyes, but I have the code all here in the mind. Thankfully, Josh actually finishing out in first place. Very, very handy pickup for him, considering that we are at the end of our NA games. So we'll see just how he is going to be adjusting how he plays going into his off region. Of course, notably a big game coming out from Next. Definitely bigger than his previous games. Actually doing pretty well. Hasn't found any exiles in the first 2 games, but game 3, it looks like he did pick up just the 1 grief exile onto Megaverse. So something to think about there. Megaverse, of course, finishing with a high placement, but going to be gimped just a little bit by our EU boy. So we're going to see how the playstyle adjusts once we go on over to those off servers. Meanwhile, guys, if you do want to keep up with the scores, much like we are, don't forget to hit exclamation Discord in the chat. Go ahead and follow it on over. And in the bot commands channel, hit exclamation score so you can stay up to date with all of us casters up here. But man of class, we have a little bit of halftime to get to, and I think it's going to be a good one.
Yeah. It's going to be a few minutes. We're going to throw out a little bit of extra VOD material that we have laying around. You can either enjoy that or go get yourself, of course, some refreshments. Get yourself a little bit of a snack, a little bit of a drink. Maybe we've talked about Doritos so much that you're actually going to feel like something salty. But hey, don't forget to just come back, watch the timer, and we'll get the EU side going after halftime.
You thought you had 15 more seconds. We're here early for you, baby. Element Solos Cash Cup Finals here for the second half. Now, we do have a nice little updated list of scores for you on how these contestants are doing so far in their first 3 games. Keep in mind that these were all on the NA side of things. So we're going to be hopping over to EU. So you might see these standings change quite drastically, as notably some players like Next, and I do believe, if I'm correct, Wonderful might also be EU. I'm not sure about Wonderful, but definitely Next. Be looking out for him on the EU side of things. But yeah, let's get this updated score all ready to go for the first half. We'll go ahead and get a quick little update for you there. There we go. There's our transition. I was waiting for it, and here you go. As you can
Woo!
see, the way it rounds up, we do have SKT Dark B and Megaverse in a hot and heavy race for first place. Darkbreaker's just barely edging out by, I kid you not, you're not seeing this wrong, literally 1 point. So very, very close contest here. Of course, No Way, Gigabyte, and Kamsky making it very, very difficult for them on the third, fourth, and fifth spots, respectively. But we might be seeing a new king of solos come out here, Mana Class.
It's very possible. Of course, we are looking still in a situation where anything can change. 2 games still have to be deleted for some of these players, so they might edge out higher or lower depending on that. It's going to be a fun one. The scores are relatively close when you look at like the top 7-ish. But after that, it does become like a little bit of a gap. So there is a good possibility that this top 5 won't shift that much in terms of who gets in there, but might shift in terms of who is, in which position. And that's still exciting because only the top 3 actually walk away with some prize money.
Yeah, top 3 only walk away with prize money. You are correct. Notably, our top 3 at this point all have over 700 points so far, and the next place below that is below 600. So quite a bit of ground to cover. Of course, as we talked about at the very, very beginning, we're only taking the best 4 games out of your total 6. So it's your best 4 against the next person's best 4. So who is going to keep that trend going here on the EU side of things? You're going to have a higher ping, a little bit harder time hitting your pinpoint accurate shots. Things like lightning, frost, and sometimes toxic or maybe even wind might be having a little bit more difficult time. But I will say, most of the people that are in our top 3, or rather all the people in our top 3, are running either Stone Shaper or Pyromancer. So they might have a little bit of an easier time compared to someone like Gigabyte or Kamsky. Of course, they are used to the latency that we do normally hop into. So this is something to be kept in mind. But Megaverse, Darkbreakers, or T Dark B as he's known, and No Waste.ttv should have a bit of an easier time going into their off region.
For sure. And what is also very, very important to note is that out of the top 3, only one player has been consistently scoring well. So consistently getting 4 or 5 exiles, whereas the other 2 have had one really breakout game with like 7 or 9 exiles, and then 2, I would say, more mediocre or maybe even lower scoring games. So we'll see if that will change in the second half, whether consistency can be kept up. But Megaverse is definitely the person that right now still looks to be the one to beat if the other 2 don't get those breakout performances. So we're going to our first game on EU, jumping straight in with Oxio, one of our PlayStation heroes who is in a lot of trouble right now. Look at that health bar, OSK. That's not where you want to be right now.
Not only the health bar, but also the movement options. He only has 1 charge of Shadow Step ready on, and then he has a tornado that probably doesn't have updraft quite yet. So we'll see how it shakes out for him. So far, the boulder not going to connect. He's sitting at, I believe that says either 12 or 15 HP. So definitely just 1 shot. Really, it's only 2 shots from lightning, 2 shots from wind. I mean, the wind could touch him. Like the literal wind in game could touch him and he could go. So definitely going to have to find a good spot to get out of this. The early game is definitely stunted for him to this point. He doesn't have any belt to make good use of the safeguard potion, and really it doesn't look like there's any loot nearby. So it's a very, very dangerous game to play. Just an unfortunate situation for our man Oxio. Thankfully, does find a knowledge potion, so he will have a bit of some extra tools to use. But he's going to be trying to take this one on with a common wind gauntlet, probably ill-advised. Does the boulder connect? I do not believe so. He's going on flat ground, so has to be a little careful. No amulet either. So going to be a little bit limited in terms of movement. Actually, making this up fairly well. He does shave off all of the shield and a little bit of the health of his opponent, but now we have a third party coming in. Next is here on his home server with the same outfit as well. So maybe just a little bit of a show of dominance, a little bit of BM coming out, unintentional BM. But now next, looking for that next target. He's looking for that third party that was a part of this, that Oxia was shaving down. We'll see if he finds it, but so far that's one exile for next.
It's a nice switcheroo as well. You know, maybe if you don't see the exile happening, you might think, oh, it's just the same player again, and he has low health, and all of a sudden it's next, who has plenty to work with. We go over to Wonderful, though. Wonderful has had a bit of a up and down in terms of game so far, so definitely needs this one, but it's not going to get it. Lovell instead is going to try and make a name for himself in these score sheets. And, well, has a build to do it with. We already touched upon it before, that very aggressive, sustain, but also high damage build for the in terms of talents. You have that vigor, you have the extra HP on top of things, you get the scavenging in case you get that exile, and then even the recklessness in case you are not running a belt anymore, or run beltless. And that's
this is
pretty
beautiful.
Nice. You have 50 extra XP, and this is just gonna be Kuzi getting the exile, or maybe getting third partied. You get the exile stolen. Almost looks like it, and it almost looks like that's a team game, right? Where the third player comes in to try and help the other one out. But I don't think that's going to be the case, as this is, of course, a solos tournament. And Casper is going to be the one that we're going to be following. Nope, it's going to be Cord V-Roy.
Never mind. It's going to be Lil Hustle.
Lil
We're
Hustle
jumping all around today. Little Hustle. Look at this, though. He's got the double shadow step off cooldown here. Still working his way into the first zone. Keep in mind that he won't have Outbreak quite yet. It's going to be the next zone after that that will grant him that increased damage. So needs to play a little bit of a long-range game with that Frost for right now. He's all glowed up. He's ready to get his shots going. For right now, though, kind of on the edge. Needs to make sure that he gets within the zone very quickly. Don't want to shave off that fortitude for no reason. If I get a quick look at the map, we'll see where exactly we are. Hopefully that'll come up soon. But for right now, guys, just want to say thank you guys so much for donating to Element, because you can see in the top left that 30% that your donation comes from. It really does help for the production value. I mean, that 30%, the whole 30% helped us get that game counter. So just got to keep that in mind. Every little bit helps. For right now, though, it looks like a northern zone, actually centered around Dust Pool. Gigabyte would be proud, his favored spot to drop in, and he actually doesn't even have to move at all. So he's feeling pretty good about that. For right now, though, we are seeing this player kind of loot up around this last little castle. It's going to stay in the zone just a little bit. He wants to make sure he has a better rarity of stone. This is going to be Megaverse. We know how well he can utilize all of this damage that stone inherently has. Actually, I forgot to call it out earlier, but he is running more of a movement-based build. He's got all the tools that he can use with dexterity to save all that mana that he's going to be using quite a bit of. He's got runic fluency for that extra little bit of movement and has served him well today, as well as thirsty for the extra little bit of sustain once you can find a nice little hidey hole, get that little bit of healing going up. So we'll see how exactly it pans out. Looks like he's having a little bit of trouble getting through the window. The unfortunate little bit of mechanical error there. For right now, though, we have Kamsky. No exiles yet, but looking to change that. Actually switched on over to Pyromancer. It's one of those adjustments that I called out before we started on the off region here. The pinpoint accuracy that he normally likes to run on Conduit or Toxicologist will not serve him quite as well on the increased ping. Right now, though, those fireballs served him very, very well. It's actually going to be the Ignite. Gonna save that one for Cordroy. Going to get both sniped and stunned, so we'll have to get away quite quickly. But he does have safeguard potions at the ready. So we'll see if he can find some space to make it work. He's actually being third-partied and fourth-partied. Solar Bear finding himself a nice little bit of blood to smell in the water. Tundra coming out here. Going to get a quick little shaving of the shield off of his opponent. Thankfully, saving his own health. And it looks like we'll have a bit of a reset and maybe a re-engage.
You see Solar Bear already so looted up in terms of scrolls because of that Finder's Keepers, and is also doing a great job on having the belt full at all times for that reason. Has lost the high ground here, but Solar Bear still in plenty of HP territory to maybe do something. Does get this entire shield burned off, and is now able to fly back up to this tower, dodging this fight and actually luring the other two players into a 1v1, meaning he has time to heal back up, get those potions going, maybe read that last scroll. He's still looking for that last thirsty scroll to properly get all the utility out of that one. But it's in a pretty good spot. It's got that one exile, maybe wants a bit more. And of course, Solar Bear, now on the high ground, with his patented Frostborn build, is just going to be a, well, happy camper. Going to be shooting like it's a shooting gallery at the Olympics with the clay pigeons, but this time they're moving around a little bit more radically than those beautiful ones. All he can do is try and yell pool at the right time and hopes his ice lances hit.
Absolutely. The Shadow Step coming up from his opponent. You can see just barely dipped behind the rock in time for Solar Bear to not see him. So no shot being kept right there. The Corrosion will stick onto Solar Bear just a little bit, but the shield will come in handy as he is regening all the way back to full. Just keep in mind that as the zone is rotating, it will be rotating onto Solar Bear's location on the southwestern part. So Whitgrave, very, very handy spot to be in for the foreseeable future. He is doing pretty well in terms of keeping the action off of him so far. He is the one dictating the positioning right here. So very, very nice job. Going to defend his castle. This is going to be his hill to die on, so to speak, but hopefully no death will come his way. Oh, he finds a nice little hidey person. What are you doing down there? It's a little rat hiding in the castle. Wants to make sure he's not stealing all the provisions there. A little bit late on the Tundra, but thankfully it does save him a little bit of damage. He will be forced off of his castle. Still trying to defend it. Actually going to opt to go ahead and get away. The third rotation is quite brutal, as we know in the Spellbreak community. And it seems that the current zone, or rather the next zone in 50 seconds, is not going to favor this position. I don't know how he just dodged all those fireballs. He does get hit by one, so this actually makes it 2 now. Barely on the edge of combust for number 3, but a very, very nice job of a little bit of fancy footwork, not even needing a rune to be used. Just really great heads-up play all around. Doing a good job of that reset, and so far nothing doing in terms of that fight. Right now, though, we're on to Coach BK, and he finds himself in a little bit of trouble, Mana Class.
Yeah, what I did like about that last one, though, is that you do see Solar Bear shooting a Frost Trail in different directions in order to try and confuse his opponent. And it did work in the end. So that's, something that maybe not a lot of Frostborns will always do. But Solar Bear, being one of the veteran Snow Frostborn ones, someone that kept playing the class even in that meta where everyone was kind of laughing at Frostborn being a thing. And yeah, it's paying dividends right now in these type of situations. Coach PK was in an engagement, but that engagement has kind of sizzled, just as the flames on that Pyromancer do sometimes. Now Blue Flu, fire flying away up in the air, trying to get an angle on this player and take the high ground control. Unfortunately, he's not able to do so. Well, I mean, is able to run away from this, but not able to use it to really get an advantage in that fight. Rather just trying to heal back up, reset, and try again later. Blue Flu, we know they can do things. We know they're in they are a player that can actually do some damage here. But Miba is right now in a much better position. A lot of players running this same skin, by the way. Can I just point that out? Because it's been like the 5th one we've seen so far.
Yeah, notably, I do believe that whenever I spoke among my friends,
that's
look at
another
this. We
two
have
right
3
there.
of the
Yeah.
we have 3 of the same skin, all in one place, just south of Gripfeld. Apparently, this is where they all live.
No.
They all look. Every tower is a different bedroom. They all like room together. They're all happy. Actually, having a bit of a roommate dispute here. Someone didn't do the dishes last night, and they're all just looking to get into the action. Is this another one? Am I looking at yet another one?
I'm just getting confused. We just don't know who's who anymore. That's the thing. Like, it's almost like they made the deal. Like, guys, we're all running this outfit so that the casters won't be able to tell us apart. This is exactly what's happening right now. Miba in a fight with someone who's running the same skin. We know there's about 7 of them, and he's going to be trying to follow him into this corridor. Of course, he's going to be dodging that shockwave because you know it's coming. It's Miba. You've seen him run the Stone Shaper before.
Tell you what, I don't even see that this is CL Miba. I mean, he might as well be a mystery man to me. As we see a random player just throwing out 2 giant boulders, we're looking for the next random player so that the random player we're currently on can land a nice little fireball to the next random player. Let's see just exactly what he's going to do with his positioning here. Oh, we have a trick. We have tricks.
Yeah.
A magic trick for Spellbreak.
Just literally, no. If you have post-its near you, OSK, just grab a post-it, post it over the name, because we don't even have to look at the name. It's just like you said, it's a random player.
I'll tell you what. Y'all can't see this on camera, but I actually have 3 different stacks of Post-its. I have yellow, I have blue, I have pink. It doesn't matter. I don't know who this is. I mean, this might as well be the International Mana Mystery, but he is putting up a nice little firewall, approaching this next little International Mana Mystery. I can't really tell.
We're gonna guess. We're gonna guess it based on the build, right? So this is the Stone Shaper.
Proletariat Andrew.
It's Proletariat Andrew. Okay, that's what you're going for. That's what you're going for. I mean, look. Based on the information we've had so far, based on the exile count, based on the way they're playing right now, I wouldn't be surprised if this is Megaverse. I have a post-it over it, just like you. I have no clue who this actually is.
I have no idea.
Based on what we're seeing here, it could very well be Megaverse. Because I don't think I've seen them be exiled, and this build does fit their playstyle, and the way they're moving around so far is, I'd say it's patented just yet because there haven't been that many flashy moves, but we'll see it come out. I'm sure of it.
Hey,
Oh,
a
that's
unique
a oh,
skin. I
it's
found
a
one.
unique
A
outfit. We
unique
found one. We
outfit.
did it.
Oh my
Let's
goodness,
not
what
turn
achievement.
this.
Oh my goodness, though. What is that shockwave? Just all the way down, this random post-it person is gonna land a beautiful shockwave against this other outfit that I don't remember the name of, but it's still very beautiful. I love to see it in this particular lobby. Meanwhile, I want to call out, I can't see the outfit, so I can name this person. It is Darkbreakers finding 3 exiles in the kill feed there. The last one
Woo.
notably against Fluff and Nudes. So he's doing pretty well out here. Meanwhile, this random player that I have it posted over has 3 exiles. So it looks like Megaverse really needs. I gave it away. It's Megaverse, guys. You all can read, okay? Y'all know more than I do.
I figured it out.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
it's really going to be a close contest between our first and second place finishers. So far in this contest, Megaverse definitely needing to make up a little bit of ground here. Beautiful boulder onto Kyrie. Caitlyn, the 23 tick is going to be just enough for Exile number 4. Meanwhile, Darkbreakers is barely edging out Megaverse so far, has 5 exiles. Somehow is going to avoid all of the attention in the lobby, has a legendary stone as well with focus mana. I'm about to see some huge damage numbers come out. 30% times 45. Just do that in your head. That's an extra 15 damage. We're about to see some 60 damage shockwaves if he plays it right. Let's see what Megaverse can do against that. Right now, getting called out a little bit, going to drop down. Solar Bear much the same way. Going to get damaged out a lot. Plenty of fire, plenty of obstacles left around, plenty of players as well. No Tundra for another 2 seconds. This might be a little bit of a pickle for him. Tundra will come off a cooldown here. Flash freeze all at the ready. Going to try to get a little bit of high ground there. Is sticking out like a sore thumb with that float, though. Going to land a quick little frost. Doing a very, very good job of just avoiding all the attention in the world. Tundra will come out, so he will avoid this little bit of damage. Beautiful play by Solar Bear. Now looking for a little bit more heals, trying to top off that shield, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. There's Frost coming out. Not going to connect that one. Going to eat a fireball. Going to eat another one. One more will finish him off. We'll see if he can get out of this particular situation. The Tundra, right in time, is going to block another source of damage. The Firewall going to apply Ignite. The fight up, and Megaverse is going to kill him with the Ignite, of all things.
So we have Megaverse, we have Joshua, and one other player that I can't quickly identify right now, but Megaverse taking a lead against the Darkbreakers, takes another one, 7 exiles. Megaverse wants to be winning all of these games, game number 4, and he probably doesn't even need the other 2. Of course, he's still going to play them, maybe get some more exiles out of it, but this is by far, this looks like going to be Megaverse's best game on the EU server. Joshua does take him out in the end, but Megaverse still going to get a ton of points out of that one, and I feel like going to be overtaking the Darkbreakers. There was only 1 point between them anyways, but I definitely think that difference has been made with this one.
I do believe so, and very, very fittingly, Megaverse actually is the one that exiled Darkbreakers. So maybe a little bit of a
correct.
inter tournament meta talk among those two, I guess, wanting to make sure that their front runner is taken out by them themselves. So we'll be theory crafting that one for you as we get ready for game number 5. But what an absolutely huge game for both of those contestants. I do believe that Darkbreakers finished out with either 5 or 6 exiles on that particular game. Megaverse obviously going to finish out with 7, so barely edging it out. That's obviously going to be enough to overwrite that 1 point. Keep in mind that exiles are counted for 15 points, and the placements in between each place are counted for 5 points each, just about at the higher ranks. So keep that in mind as we get ready to these scores. I do believe it's safe to say that Megaverse will take the lead off of these first 4 games, but we're going to be keeping the update for you as now getting into game 5. This is when your worst games start to drop off, and that's really going to affect our scores in a big way. Get these pixels out of here. I'm tired of it.
For sure.
Get out.
Well, I mean, so,
Boom.
because that's the thing. If you're going to look at this mathematically, if both of these players get the exact, like, basically consistent average games after this, then this particular game is a bigger deal for Darkbreakers than it is for Megaverse. Because Darkbreakers has had lower game scores before this than Megaverse. Megaverse has been a very consistent competitor, which is good, because then you usually get a high average score. But if 2 games are taken away, then you lose more points from those taken away games. So Joshua, same story, has had a few down games, but now has a good up game. Also had a few good up games. He has more to gain by these next 2 games than Megaverse. It's very hard for Megaverse to top these scores and to make sure that the games that are deleted still make a difference versus the other players near him. So mathematically, anyone's game still, but like you said, now are the games where now it's going to be decided which games you're going to throw away. one of the 5 games, including the next one that you play, is going to be deleted. Of course, it's going to be the lowest one. Like we could ask you which one you want deleted, but that's going to be very simple as a player.
Yeah,
We'll see. We'll see where
yeah.
that
Two,
goes.
two very big games in a row for Joshua. Keep in mind that he also took first place for game number 3 as well. Notably, I want to say, I want to see where exactly we are in the standing. Some of our people towards the bottom end of that top 5. It looks like Kamsky is still trying to find his rhythm out here. I did notice that he was doing very well towards the mid game, but in our current standings, it seems that game 4 is still being updated with all of our scores. So the
Yeah.
placements are shifting around for us on the caster desk. If you do want to keep up to date with them, by the way, in the Discord itself, go ahead and hop in exclamation Discord on the chat, hop in the bot commands channel. And I'm actually going to do it myself here. We're going to type in little exclamation scores. I will do it with you. So that way we're all updated all at the same time. Here we go. It looks
In
like,
the meantime, OSK.
yes, in the
So
meantime.
can we? So we look at all those outfits. A lot of players running the same outfit, and in my mind, I see a problem here. A problem that too many people run the same outfit. So the question is, what are we gonna do about it? And there's 2 solutions. Either you have to pre-tournament tell us which outfit you're gonna be running, and that's the outfit you have to be running, or everyone runs the same outfit. Period.
Yeah. It is
Option
it is
number
a matter
3
of
is we just
discussion.
don't care and we're just gonna let it go on as it is because it is for pretty hilarious. But competitive integrity. Sometimes rules have to be made. Just throwing it out there.
Sometimes. I guess we'll get around to it for the next tournament. But in any case, do you want to get you some updated scores? Again, you can check these yourself by hopping into our Discord and typing exclamation scores in the bot commands channel. But for right now, it seems that after game number 4, we still have Darkbreakers on top, followed very closely by Megaverse with a difference of about 7 points. Again, these pixels, man, karate chopping them out here. Get them out. No way he's going to be picking up 3rd place. Joshua in 4th off of those back-to-back wins, and Casper actually in 5th place. Now, we'll see if that changes because I do believe we are still finalizing everything. We have 2 ways to keep up the scores, and we're going to be double-checking those as we go forward. It's a very, very close contest, so I don't want to say definitively if either Darkbreakers or Megaverse is in the lead at this point. I do believe
It
Megaverse
looks
got a
like
higher number of
Darkbreakers.
exiles.
No, it
Yeah,
looks like Darkbreakers right now as the
it
update
does
come in.
seem
Yeah.
it does seem that way. I still want to keep it you know, I still want to
For
hold off
sure.
on definitively saying it because these are still again, I want these to be double checked. I want them to be triple checked. I want them to be quadruple
Okay.
checked. Last thing I
So
want
very
is to call
simply
out the wrong
put,
one.
the damage number of the Darkbreakers was over 400 higher than Megaverse, and that's why the
Hmm.
score is still over for Darkbreakers. You actually got a few extra points because they were, of course, only 1 point apart before this game, and now they're like 7.6, 7 or 6 point apart. So that's like the difference that game made. And yeah, of course, I still feel like Darkbreakers has more to gain from losing games than Megaverse at this stage. So he's looking really comfortable. But these 2 games, when we start deleting scores, that's really where things are going to get interesting. So we'll get to that ASAP as we're dropping into the next game. I hear in my ear, and yeah, I mean, how are our EU boys doing? Not so well right now. I mean, they're really not coming up the leaderboards. I wouldn't say it's mathematically impossible for them to still get up there, but it's more than an uphill climb, I'd say.
I will notably say that yesterday in the Element Trios Cash Cup Finals, Team Nexolino, which was the first part of that name, it's Next, as well as Porcelino and Death_SB, actually made a very, very good run on the EU side. Actually brought them up from, I believe, 5th place all the way up to 2nd place in the final standings. So still a lot of room for Next to be making some moves out here. But these next 2 games are going to be the moves that he has to make them in. I mean, you can't really be snoozing right here. Kikuzi, in the meantime, definitely not snoozing out on this one. Going to land a nice Frost, but not going to follow up on it. Just wants to get that damage score all inflated, similar to how Darkbreakers is playing right now. Again, I did get 400 more damage than Megaverse last game, so every little bit of damage counts. I do believe, well, I won't go in the exact number of how much it counts because I actually don't have it off the top of my head. But
No,
let's just go
same.
back to QQZ over here. He is shooting out all of the windows here, wants to make sure that nothing is safe. Going to be on the swift approach here. He does have both sorceries all ready to go. Looking for a little bit of long range fire action. Maybe lining up the frost here soon. Actually going to lose his footing and shoot the roof, so there will be no exiles, no damage to be dealt out here. Going to get a quick read for that last little point of focus mana. So plenty of damage to go around here in the early game. Definitely a strong point for QQZ to be in. We'll see if he pushes this advantage onto any other opponents. Looks like he's going to abandon the fight so far. So going into the central courtyard of Halcyon, we'll see if he can find anyone else.
I mean, eventually you run into someone in Halcyon. That's at least my rule. Halcyon is almost never empty unless it's outside of the zone, which it currently isn't. So Kukuzi already seeing quite a few players running around this area over there. It's going to be able to third party another fight. And even gets shot at by some Icelands on the high ground. See, there's already like 5 or 6 players around this small area itself. That's Halcyon for you, especially when it's at this circle's edge right now. Nice block of that fireball with a quick Iceland. Maybe a fireball himself, actually. I didn't quite see what happened there, but Kukuzi now trying to run away from this with the Shadow Step, able to dodge extra damage, but runs straight into a Toxic Spray and a Dragon Fire. Kukuzi under a lot of pressure here right now. Definitely got plopped up right there. Oh, it's in the name. It's so funny. Now we're going to be seeing, I know, right? Now we're going to be seeing if Kukuzi's going to be able to run away from this. It does look like he's found a little bit of a crevice underneath this archway. We call it an archway. It's really just a blown up wall. Yeah. To be able to heal back up. And yeah, Kukuzi back in safety, but in the meantime, not doing damage, not getting exiles. Like you stay alive, the placement goes up, but you want some aggression. Aggression, like we're seeing from Next, gets 2 kills in a row in that kill feed. That's what you love to see, the exiles rolling in for the EU boys.
We'll see if that momentum keeps carrying. For right now, though, Megaverse doing an excellent job of dodging literally every single wind shear. I'm not sure how that's possible, but we are really just defying gravity out here for Megaverse. The teleport going to quickly come in. I would have to imagine that this might be Gigabyte. I'm not really 100% sure. Definitely not playing with it anymore. That's Exodus going to go down. Not a member of our tournament, but Megaverse still going to make quick work of that one. That's 1 exile for him. Now we're looking at our next target here. We have one floating on up towards the top of this mountain. This is the dominant position Megaverse wants to take for himself. The quick little shockwave traveling all the way down the mountain, looking for these mid-air fireballs, I would imagine, but decides that it's a little bit too long a range. I don't want to be caught out in the storm either. Actually, never mind. I guess I do want to be caught out in the storm. Wants to prevent this player from taking the Space Dorito, as we've lovingly called it. We will see just how this rift is being utilized here. Megaverse just looking to literally block any sort of damage that comes his way. Thankfully, going to get a little proactive poke onto his opponent. We'll see how this shakes out. It seems, though, for right now, he is opting to just stall this one out. I'm not sure if this is the correct strategy to be played out here. He does still need to keep it competitive between his exiles and damage. So we'll see how exactly this one ends up. He's actually being danced around quite a bit, but not a whole lot of damage being dealt to him. Quick little poke out from the shockwave, going to take his opponent down to half shield. Still a full bar of health, though. Floating over the top, looking for this free shot. The boulder going to be coming in. The outside part of the AoE will catch his opponent. And now Megaverse actually with a very, very comfortable health advantage. Going to be looking to get into this very, very quickly. Looking for those mid-air fireballs. Still having a little bit of trouble, but still keeping the advantage going. Looking for the shockwave. Looking for any sort of poke that he can get. The firewall going to seal out a little bit of Ignite. One more fireball will actually take this fight. Maybe it'll be the zone that does it. His opponent desperately looking. That's Darkbreaker's out so early by none other than Megaverse. What a huge pickup early on. This is a prime opportunity for Megaverse to really make this a game worth counting for, and he is feeling so good about that one.
It's almost like they knew they were both in that area, and they just said, you know what, whoever wins this game is going to win the tournament. But not the case right there, and that is where Megaverse actually basically guarantees this is a game that will be deleted from Darkbreakers, which also means that probably his average score is already going to be better. Remember, they're only like 7 points apart right now, so there's almost no way in which Megaverse doesn't get an advantage out of this one. Gigabyte getting stuck between a rock and a hot place, really. Will be able to be exiled by Cozy there. While Next takes down Kamsky as well as Artesius earlier on. Next, at least on 4 Exiles, I've already seen the Exile feed. So yeah, the EU side of things definitely treating Next okay, to say the least. Just a shame they couldn't potentially do the same performance on the NA side, but might be mixing up the scoreboard a little bit with exiling Kamsky this early.
Yeah, definitely a good pickup indeed. Again, that's how I called it earlier on. He normally has a very, very big, big volley of games here on the EU side of things. So it's something that we're
Yeah.
used to seeing from him. Seems to be following suit so far. That's at least, oh, now it's 5. No way he's going to go down as well. Next, having a really big breakout game compared to his NA games. So we'll see how he does going forward here. Keep an eye on that kill feed for more next action. Meanwhile, Cozy looking for that next target. Still trying to get a little bit of outbreak going, but proving to be very, very difficult. Still has that legendary fire on the offhand. You want to wonder at this point, is he going to end up getting more damage on the offhand fire than he does on the toxic? So we'll see how exactly that plays out. So far, though, a quick little damage of 10 going to be breaking out. His opponent making very good work against him, though. The fire is coming out. Still looking for it. 38 damage. Still looking for that extra little bit of fire damage. We're still looking for that last hit. Will he get the exile? It's so difficult with this third party coming in. This might be the end of Cozy. He's having such a hard time against this Stone Shaper. We'll see how exactly it ends up, but for right now, it seems to be looking quite grim. Barely dodging the fireball by the skin of his teeth. The Shadow Step finally off a cooldown, but that's going to be a quick little wind shear from Trago. So that's going to be his second pickup of the day here. Doing a really, really good job of just kiting his opponents, making sure that there's no damage to be had on his side of things. Rocking the Pyromancer instead of his normal Toxicologist play style. And the wind offhand to shear off that last little bit of health. A little bit different, but you love to see it.
It's all about that ping, working with it in order to make sure that your performance stays the same across 2 regions. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know where this lobby's gonna go. I mean, out of the top 6, 3 or 4 players have already been exiled. It's a very high number. Actually, that was a 4th one, right there with Cozy. Oh no, wait, Cozy's not in the top 6, still top 7 still. But there's a lot. Half of them at least are already gone, which makes this a pretty big shake-up game. Because there's still 19 players in this lobby, so those placements are basically horrific. And all those players are most likely just deleting this game from their records straight away, like no doubt. And that's a problem because then you need to perform in those last games even more than you already needed to before, and that could lead to other players going up the ladder. Lovell, for instance, has silently been making his way up the ladder. Is now at the 10th place, but could very well with this game already go up to maybe 7, maybe 6. Who knows?
At this point, you got to ask if you want to get as part of that prize pool. Is it too little, too late for players like Lovell, for players like Trago? Only time will tell, of course. It looks like Trago's really, really eyeing this Space Dorito. Looks like trying to interrupt a little bit of the taking of the Space Dorito. He's going to get blocked off by a Flash Freeze. What an expert play by his opponent. This leaves Trago with nowhere to go. Has to quickly drink all of these health potions. There is no zone in sight for Trago. So that's a lot of ground to be made up. Keep an eye on that kill feed just in case you see him get exiled. My goodness, what an expert heads-up play from his opponent, realizing that the wind and the fire both going to get blocked by that Flash Freeze. The quick little takeover going to reposition. No danger for him. Little Hustle, though, doing a really, really good job of holding down this particular tower here. Doing a real good job of just gardening out, making sure that he has eyes on everyone, making sure that the corrosion is still ticking. The Frost is on the offhand, and I will note that it has 7 sorceries left to go. Not quite as valuable as it would be on a Frostborn with that Tundra skill, but still can block quite a number of elements that could pose a danger to him. Going to get tagged 3 times by a Fireball, as well as 2 Dragon Fires. Looking a little bit difficult for him. Going to spam out the Flash Freezes. Now the Shadow Step will come on. It's just 1 shot for Lil Hustle, and he is over. We will see how exactly he kites out of this one, spots a person on this tower, but still approaching on as little health as he has. A very, very risky play indeed, especially with how much fire is around. But it seems that he has somehow still remained alive. He still is keeping it going. Meanwhile, next on that 5th exile, looking for number 6, just trying to kite this one out. And we'll see just if he can turn this one around. He seems to be in a bit of a disadvantage, but we'll see if that lightning will indeed go buzz.
Wow, what an army of players around here as well, and there's no surprise as well. There were so many players still still alive for the zone size. 19 when it started closing. Now there's still 15 in this lobby. It's insane.
Oh!
What a hit! How? That's not even prediction. That's just a Hail Mary. I'm like, maybe I'll hit him, and then you just get him. Next on the 6 Exiles, making a name for himself on the EU server. You'll love to see it. He's going to look for more. Like, there's no way you don't want to finish this game out with a win and at least 10 Exiles. There's plenty of room to go. I mean, he only needs 4, and there's 14 players in this lobby. How are you even not getting 10 Exiles at this stage? Be the first double digits of the night, and if anyone can do it right now, it looks to be next. I am all for it. Might not be able to take any prize money away tonight, but this would be a beautiful bonus and a show of, if we ever split servers, if we're going to have an EU tournament only, next would surely be the player to beat, because this is insane.
It would only take a play like that to hear you get so worked up, man. Class, I don't think I've heard as much emotion from you as I did just then. But in any case, it looks like Next is doing a phenomenal job here. Going to spot out yet another opponent. Going to let that lightning do its work. It seems that we have a little bit of regen on the armor there. It seems to be growing as we're going. It looks like he actually gets a miracle stun somehow, but going to get stunned by his own lightning strike, the own secondary strike. Looking for another boulder, I would imagine, but he has to be careful of the zone here. Get careful of the fracture as well. Got to be very... It's just a matter of just being careful for Next right here. He's in a really great spot. Just needs to make sure that he's not overextending. Needs to make sure that he's not putting himself in any undue danger. As you can see, he's being very, very careful about who's getting called out. That's going to be a quick exile on the Solar Bear, though. Definitely a very nice breakout game from Next. He has to imagine this opponent's actually fairly low. He can go ahead and get some superior positioning and then let his lightning do some work. Right now, though, it seems he's in between about 3 different players. How he isn't exiled yet, I have no idea, but just playing this game very, very carefully, playing it very safely, wants to make sure that he's not burning any unnecessary resources here. Going to use the Shadow Step to reposition here. Quick little recharge of the Overload skill from his Lightning Strike. Still looking for a little bit of damage to come out from his Power Surge skill. Let's see if he can actually land anything. For right now, though, playing it, again, very, very carefully. Needs to make sure he's in a good spot. This is a very, very flat area, so Stone Shapers will be very happy. Next, on the other hand, isn't very happy about this. Finds the platform, a little bit of lightning, another fireball, but going to get answered immediately by Casper. So that's 8 exiles on the game. Very, very nice performance from Next. We have a 1v1 between Casper and what looks like Megaverse. Megaverse, again, one of our front runners is going to take game number 5. What an absolute great performance from Next, but another first place finish for Megaverse.
Well, there are quite a few players that got some exiles in there. Wonderful in the kill in the exile feed definitely came up high as well. Next did great. Casper in the end got quite a few exiles, but Megaverse winning again. This is the game where he actually takes that gap with Darkbreakers. Last game we thought maybe, but then Darkbreakers did such a huge amount of damage that didn't really matter. The thing is though, one of these other games that Megaverse has had is gonna get deleted. So if you even those scores out, maybe they're still not that far apart in the end. But this is definitely a game where you show that Darkbreakers is losing points here. 100%. This is not one he takes with him. And if you get another one of those games, then Megaverse is just in a great spot. But we'll see what all the others are doing, because these lobbies have been filling up and emptying out at very different rates. That one was an insane one. Like, we entered that final zone, the later zone, with about 15 players, and in a span of 5 seconds, it was just half. It was just gone. Like, half of them were gone. And then it was still a filled up circle. Like, it was such a weird shift in pace that we've seen so far tonight. And I don't know if it has anything to do with the circles, with maybe with the server that they're on, but it's just a weird trend to see developing. When we're in game 5, it might also be because it's game 5, because one of those games start mattering now because it gets deleted. There's a lot of different theories there. Maybe we'll ask a player at some point, but for now, all we can do is speculate.
Yeah, and going off your comment on one of the games being dropped for Megaverse, almost certainly is going to be his game 2. That particular game he finished out in 18th place with 4 exiles. That equals out to a total score of 175. But now with this win, with almost certainly more exiles than game number 2 with that first place finish, and of course more damage, probably going to take over Darkbreaker's position by a factor of over 100 points at this point. So Darkbreaker still has a game. He still has that that room to still have a breakout game and then even up the score, especially if Megaverse doesn't do better than he did this game. So it's still very much out in the open, but Darkbreakers has to perform here in game 6. The pressure is on him. Megaverse, all he has to do even if he wants to, I wouldn't condone it, but he could actually seek Darkbreakers out and try to grief him. This is some it's a strategy that players can use.
It's hard.
It's
It's
a
hard
it's a
though,
bit
because
of a
you need to
weird
know
one,
where
but
it's gonna drop, etc. Like it's not, and you don't know
yeah.
which outfit he's running. Like it's not that easy to do, but it's possible. That being said, though, yeah, Darkbreaker's score is technically not gonna change because he only got 25 points for that. He's just gonna let that go.
Yeah.
So he's still gonna be on like a little under 1100 points. Megaverse's score is, like you said, likely going to go up by a factor of 100, maybe 200 points, depending on how well he did. And we'll see where he ends up, because that would mean he's roughly 100 to 200 points ahead of the Darkbreakers at that stage.
Mhm.
Rest of the scores, though, I mean, there are shifts happening, especially like third place is still very contested, fourth and fifth as well, and the margins are getting closer. I mean, after like before this game ended, we had about like 7 players within 100 range going for like everything under third. So that's a
Yep.
pretty big range, and maybe first and second are relatively decided now, but there's still some money going on after third. There's still a top five that we like to look at the end. If you're with your name up
Mhm.
there, there's still some room to play with.
Yeah, so going off the scores that we have currently in the bot commands channel, by the way, join the Discord and type in exclamation scores in that bot commands channel to consistently be updated. It seems that Darkbreakers has to do at least 101 points better than one of his other games. So if or better than one of the games that's currently being counted. So to give you an idea, I'll try to get some of his best scores that we have out here. Basically, what he has to do is he has to make sure Megaverse doesn't get a better game than he did last game, and Darkbreakers has to make sure he gets more than 244 score counted. Definitely a very tough bill to fill, but that is the sort of mountain he has to climb now to seal out first place. I have no doubt that he can do it. It's just a matter of whether he will. Right now, though, Meba is taking a nice little fight here in the Timberland side of things. Going to dodge the noodle, thankfully. No BM here in the HoloLens so far. Actually is going to get just a little bit kited here. Does have Stone, does have Toxic. Wants to make sure to try and minimize the amount of gap between him and his opponent as much as possible. That common dash, though, not going to do him any favors. Definitely a big cooldown on that particular rune. Going to just try to get into Himwood. This might be the point in the game, or the point in the fight rather, where you turn off. There you go. Try to get a long range option. Try to get something you can work with. Meanwhile, we have Darkbreakers changing up the outfit. Wants to make sure no one can recognize him. Actually tagged out by the fire, and with that wind offhand, he might be reverting to an old favorite strategy of his with that wind offhand. Running teleport so far, definitely not something he wants to take into late game. Actually going to stumble upon two separate
Double
knowledge potions.
pots. Let's
This
go.
could be a big game. If he better pull this one out. This is the opportunity. This is where things can start rolling. If he doesn't make use of this in the way that I know he can, then Megaverse does deserve to win. But here come the boulders. We have one just barely not connecting, going to catch up to his opponent with that extra charge of Shadow Step. The double is coming out, the quick little chug of the knowledge, and now he can reposition yet again. Let's see, this is all of his options being expended here. He really wants this exile, really doesn't want this to haunt him. I'm going to try the Tornado Boulder, the exact play that he won the medal contest off of, notably. And now, out of movement options, it looks like his opponent has successfully kited him out. The Common Stone not serving him any favors in terms of damage, but he does have a nice little advantage coming on. He does have that extra teleport off a cooldown now. We'll see if he saves it for the flight, and it looks like this opponent might just get away from him. Gonna kite on up over to the tower, and that's gonna be a very, very tough target to get. Maybe a little bit too much juice on that boulder, and it looks like his opponent might just get away from him now. It's gonna be a very, very tough.
Not that easy.
Oh, but he's going to get third party. The Frost coming out. He's spending so much time. There's so much time being spent here trying to get this last exile. If he goes out right here, it will be such a heartbreak. But we'll have to see how it goes, Mana Class. Darkbreakers is pulling on my heartstrings right now.
I mean, I think he saw the build that the other player was running. You know, Stone Shaper, got the flight on. Could have been Megaverse. Who knows? But unfortunately, Darkbreakers is not going to be... not going to be getting that exile. And if it was Megaverse in some way, shape, or form, at least he also denies Megaverse of getting any value out of that because he was just running away. but you want to get those points. You don't want to be denying Megaverse points. That's his job, denying you points. Now,
Yeah,
Darkbreaker's getting a little bit of fire over here. That is more stone coming his way, and every single time we see that boulder falling, Darkbreaker's just like, I don't want to go down to this. I do not want to go down to this, because what if it's him? What if it's him? What if he's deciding the tournament outcome right here? And he's just going to get dunked on with some more boulders and shockwaves and tornadoes. It's all coming his way, and now he's doing the running. But in the meantime, he's barely doing damage. He's not getting any exiles. I mean, the placement's going up, that's for sure, but also it is for Megaverse, and I haven't seen either of them in the exile feed so far. So that's really just running down the clock at this stage, it looks like.
It looks like, as you can see on the total player count here, we're already down to more than half the lobby is gone. So Darkbreakers has a very low, has a much lower chance of getting the amount of exiles that he normally does. Keep in mind that that score of 244 is what he's looking for to improve his score above what Megaverse currently has. But if we start seeing Megaverse in the exile feed, it might not even matter. Darkbreakers really needs to loot up. He's kind of wasted his early game at this point, and now he's going to be playing catch up the entire time. So will he pull ahead in these last moments? He's very good at it, so I won't say that he can't do it, but it's going to be much more difficult than what it normally would be.
Next, picking up quite a few good resources here. Already got a few exiles in the kill feed. We know that he's been doing great in the EU server so far. He's already got 3 on the board, and is looking for 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe even more. Exile record tonight, I think, is 9, which is still on the name of No Ace, but we'll see if maybe someone can still break that. So far, though, kill feed still empty of the names of Megaverse and the Darkbreakers. Numbers 1 and 2 being very quiet this game because they're maybe just playing too careful, maybe not. Maybe they're just playing too safe. Maybe they're just not finding anybody. You know, it's the luck of the draw. It's the thing sometimes. Next, though, under so much pressure here, will almost be blown up by a Dragonfire, but does manage to dodge it. And nice movement to get away from that situation and heal up even further. To be able to get most of that health and refuel back. If it doesn't get corroded away from him by all these toxic attacks. Next is almost trying to just avoid the fight and not fight back at all, which is not really necessary. I mean, has the lightning to fight at least this range, maybe the fireballs to come out, just using the lightning strike to get the rune charge back. And will now be running all the way over to this bridge area, picking up some more resources, getting our health back up to full, and then next is most definitely still going to be able to try and find some more exiles for herself.
Yeah, notably, though, I haven't seen action at all from Darkbreakers or Megaverse. They are neither exiled nor are they getting any exiles. Actually, Megaverse and Darkbreakers running the same exact outfit, oddly enough. So I wonder what's going on in there. Could be a bit of an accident. I don't know who this one particularly is, but Megaverse might actually get his first exile. There we go. It's gonna be an exile onto UT Kamsky, who notably took out his teammate of Elbadog. Darkbreakers takes out Lil Hustle almost at the same exact time, so they are keeping pace with each other so far. But keep in mind that this is the third zone rotation. There's only 13 players left total in the lobby, and Darkbreakers so far only has 1 exile. That's not going to be enough to get 244 no matter what placement you get, no matter what amount of damage you get. Want to make sure to be inflating those numbers as much as possible. I'm not sure who this might be. It might be, I don't believe it's Darkbreakers due to the outfit, but Megaverse might find himself a second exile. One quick little wind shear will do it, just barely. That's going to be TTV Coach PK going to go down. Megaverse finding his second exile on the game so far, but might have a little bit of difficulty getting back to the zone. This, I would imagine, is next, trying to push his position, but next as well, also looking to get back into the zone. It's a long way to go for Megaverse, but it seems that he is safe for now, Maniclass.
I mean, there's a Dorito at least not too far away, maybe 2 actually. Yeah, there's one in the village right there, and there's another one over there. There's plenty around. Like, it's almost impossible not to find one. It's just that, are you going to be the one that's taking it? Because it looks like someone else just stole that Dorito from him, but this zone is barely ticking. You can still get there. Wait, what's going on?
A little bit of lag on Megaverse, but it's okay. We're back. Hey, another Space Dorito. Round 2. Let's go.
Let's go.
So
Does it expend a few extra resources to get through that one though? But that's just how it is. Cord V Roy though is trying to find this third party, but these players are so mobile, running away from him. He has to use the Vanishing Mist to follow them. Maybe even the Shadow Step later
looks
on.
like
The Outbreak
Darkbreaker's
not quite hitting. It could very well be, and Darkbreaker's looking for these exiles. Of course, only got one on the board. Still needs more. Gonna take a lot of toxic damage here. Even the fireballs to follow him mid-flight. This is going to be a very tough one for Corduroy to get on top of. But Darkbreakers also just needs to heal up a little bit and can then go back for the fight. High ground advantage most certainly here for Corduroy. Is it going to be an exile for Darkbreakers? I don't know. Is this Darkbreakers? I think it's the same outfit. It's so hard to see with all these particle effects going on, the screen quality I'm currently working with, but it's okay. We'll be seeing when that comes out. Megaverse still also hasn't been popping up in the kill feed anymore. 12 players in the lobby. The zone is closing in. Court Fury actually having a pretty decent game. You know, it's got decent loot, 3 exiles. The build's looking nice. Fortitude just procced again, so he's going to be safe for at least one hit. There it goes. And now Court Fury just going to be to play keep away, and if he's going to keep playing keep away and not actually doing damage himself, well, what's the point of fighting this breaker if you were the Darkbreakers?
It's a very solid effort from Cord. Roy hasn't had the best day today on the competition, but actually putting up a very, very nice fight up against Darkbreakers. I would have to assume that is who he was fighting. I was worried that we might actually see an upset come out, but Darkbreakers somehow does get out of that engagement. It looks like we might be running into a bit of some similar builds here. We have Megaverse taking this particular area. It looks like he is running that wind offhand, very, very coveted between these Stone Shapers. So we'll see if anything breaks out. So far, no exiles ever since Megaverse got that one onto Coach BK. Nice boulder, though. Definitely making some progress towards it. The flight will come out on a Stone Shaper, no less. That might be Darkbreakers. I'm not quite sure, but we'll have to see. So far, lots of boulders coming out, lots of wind shears as well. Just one little bit of health. That's going to be Fluffin' Nudes going down. Third exile on for Megaverse, making a very, very great effort to seal out his first place finish, and also on full health and full shield. Definitely a lot of progress to be made. This is also a very, very nice position for him. Unfortunately, going to get gimped a little bit by the uneven ground, so we will have to back up a little bit, get a quick little refill of the shields going on. Meanwhile, Darkbreaker's still on that 1 exile, needs to bump it up to at least 4 to be matching up his other scoring of game 2. That most definitely is his lowest currently counting game. So we will see if he is going to make the adjustment. His opponent doing a great job of kiting out the boulders. This, I do not believe is Megaverse. Looks like a different outfit.
It's
doing the best
gauntlets,
I can.
so,
yeah, doing the best I can to track these outfits. But Darkbreaker's just trying to find a little bit of ground here, trying to find a little bit of a vantage point. Looking for this boulder, not going to connect that one. Just a lot of disconnections from Darkbreakers. Nothing that we're used to seeing from him. So we'll see if he's going to improve this in the very, very late game. That zone is closing quite quickly, so we will see if he is going to have a little change of tune here.
Could be the nerves as well. You know, sometimes players actually keep on top of these scores, and then they know what they need to get, and then they know they're so close, and then it just all doesn't come together. I mean, the ideal situation right now for Darkbreakers is the next exile, him taking out Megaverse, and then he just goes on a rampage. That would be ideal, because that actually puts him close. But he hasn't also hasn't been doing that much damage. It's not like he's just not getting the exiles. He's also not doing a lot of fighting in the first place. Goes around the same outfit. It's definitely. I feel like there's
this is
definitely
collusion.
some.
Come on,
There's definitely some talking about here. That like, oh, guys, we're only this outfit this game. This outfit this game.
Y'all got together and decided on this outfit. I swear.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean,
anyway.
it has to be right. It's just too much of a coincidence the other way around. It's okay though. We're gonna get to see great gameplay come out of it, even though they're running the same outfits. Cozy doing a pretty good job of doing a lot of damage there. Not quite getting the exiles. It's actually under a lot of pressure themselves right now. Next take down Kyrie Caitlyn. Only 8 players left in the lobby as Nex is looking for more. Gets a few fireballs in the back, but it does. There's plenty of fire damage himself to compensate for it. Now looking for the Spring Step rune straight into another fire on anything really. Nice lightning strike coming out, doesn't quite hit anybody. Guest gets hit by lightning strike himself. And there is some more damage coming his way, as well as a boulder fall. Next might not be long for this world. One more fireball or any with decent damage source will do it. Only 30 something HP left in the bar right there. Next, looking for the extra damage, looking for those exiles. Meanwhile, Gigabyte's going to take down Blue Flu. 7 players.
Oh.
We're going to get very close. The circle is so small, and there's these very interesting islands in this marsh, as well as a canal. Darkbreakers take down next. Gets 1 exile. That's what he needs. He needs more. He needs to take down Megaverse right now. It would be great, because the placement also matters a little bit for him. But he needs more. Flying away won't do you anything right now. I know you need the armor, but you have no pots. The best you can do is fight right now. He's looking for something. He's going to get the double boulder charge if he wants to. He's just throwing them down willy-nilly, hoping to hit something with it, but doesn't really get that much. Jumps down straight away, using the wind shear to clear a path. Takes down Cozy. That's another exile. Another shockwave. Nice in there. He needs more. Definitely needs more. Megaverse takes down Solar Bear. That's 3 more he needs. He needs to take everyone out in this lobby, hopefully starting with Megaverse. Otherwise, this will be a very, very hard race to win, and it's not happening. Megaverse is just not letting up right now. Darkbreakers, you had a great series, you had a great few games, but it looks like Megaverse is just too consistent tonight. Darkbreaker's looking for it, still wants to get this exile. I think this is Megaverse. If you can take him out, it's still nice. He doesn't quite do it just yet, but it might still happen in the end. 3 players, Megaverse, Darkbreakers, and I think that is Gigabyte? Yeah, that must be Gigabyte, because he's still in the game. Gigabyte takes that Megaverse. Darkbreakers could finish this out with 1 more exile. Throws the boulder down, tries to hit Gigabyte right there.
Oh, no.
Doesn't quite hit it. The lightning strike comes down on him. The gods have smited him, and the Darkbreakers gets exiled. 2nd place. 4 exiles that was, but that's probably not going to be enough to take it away. Megaverse is most likely going to be your champion. We're still going to calculate the scores. We're not going to be too quick on the judgment, but that is too close to finish to be a 200-something point difference, I think.
Oh my goodness, he needed to make up 101 points, so it was a little bit closer than 200, but I'm not sure if that's going to do it. If I'm looking at his game number 2 stats, he finished out in 16th place. It's still a big difference finishing out in 2nd than 16th. Still a big point difference, but he is going to be, well, actually, if I'm reading this correctly, he got only 2 exiles that one game, so he's got 1 more exile. He's got 14 placements worth. Now, the question is that a big enough game for Megaverse to overtake one of his previous games? We're still currently calculating that out to get you all this information. I do believe that is the case. I do believe you are correct. But what a barn burner this one is going to be. So to give you some quick stats, game number 6.
It's hard to call. It's hard to call if this one is taken away or another one is taken away. But he's definitely going to lose more points than the Darkbreakers is going to for this one. That's for sure. So the gap is closing on that behalf. And I think Darkbreakers might have gotten like 1 or a little bit more points this game, but that's also debatable. So we'll see as soon as those last few scores are put in. It does look like the Darkbreakers didn't get more points for this than Megaverse did, but then it's all about how many points get deleted for both players. And I mean, we'll get it to you when we get it to you. Honestly, that's what we're at. But this outfit collusion, can we just? There's going to be some discussion about this. I feel like, we're going into the February month tomorrow. Actually, for me already today, it's 2 a.m. for me, so I'm already in February. Welcome to the 2nd month of 2021. Maybe we'll actually start the year now instead of going with the epilogue of 2020. But I don't know. Like, it's an interesting trend. I like it, though. I like that our community is so entrenched with each other to just say, guys, we're just going to all run the same outfits because it's fun. And not because they want to confuse us. I don't think that has anything to do with it. It's just because it's fun. And it is fun. I mean, we are talking about it, aren't we?
Yeah, it was funny to look at. But in terms of competitive integrity in the tournament, I wouldn't be surprised if there is going to be another outfit rule introduced. I know there's already one for trios for members of the same team. So if you're going into the solos, I wouldn't be surprised if one comes out. I'm not involved in that. That's where the thought process goes. But more to talk on this game. Excellent job from Megaverse to just sort of stay back, kite out exactly the way you want to do on a conduit. Really taking advantage of Darkbreaker's prolific use of the flight rune to just get all that extra damage that he knows he can land for free. So that's going to be 2 first place finishes out from Gigabyte. We actually today was a game of twos because Megaverse won 2 games, Gigabyte won 2 games, and then notably Joshua as well won 2 games. So we're going to see how that shakes up our top 5 placement. I will say though, based on today's performance, it does look like we will have a new king of the element solos. So stay tuned as to who that is going to be. We will have those final scores ready for you here very, very shortly. In the meantime, though, I mean, are we seeing a resurgence of Stone Shapers? Is this going to be the new meta class to run? What do you think, meta class?
It's a good question. I just wanna look at what the other players that have been making a difference in these last few games. Guess who is now risen up all the way to the 900 plus score mark?
Oh, who
Next has
could
made
that
his way
be?
all the way up into the top 5.
Oh,
From way down under, Next getting very close to a little bit of cash. Unfortunately, probably not gonna just not gonna make it because it's just like it's very close. Like just that one early exile in one of the NA games, that is probably what's going to be having been doing in, or not having the greatest first EU game. No, it's a very close thing. We're going to be updating the scores of the top 5 as we speak. We're seeing our producer putting them in right now so that we can actually be for the definitive one. We're not going to spoil
hmm.
it for you just yet. Of course, we're going to wait for the full top 5 just to make
Oh,
sure that
you're
you
throwing
guys
around names
actually
and placements all over the place, meta
I
class.
know, right? People are just not knowing anymore what's going on, but that's the beautiful beauty of it, Because if I confuse you, then I maybe confuse myself, and I'll be surprised, even though I can already
Yeah.
see what's happening on the screen. So I just
All
want to be
right.
nice to myself, I guess.
So, quick little question for you. We're seeing cases
Sure.
like Next where they don't do as well in their off region, but they do very well whenever the ping isn't an issue.
Mm.
Will this introduce the forbidden words, the region lock? Will that enter the conversation? That
Yeah, I
that's
mean, it
something
has
that's
to at
definitely be
some
looked
point,
at.
right? It has to at
Yeah.
some point. Like it's the thing is for me, it's not even about their performance. I think for me, the biggest part, which we also see a lot in our chat, we hear your feedback, is the
Mm-hmm.
times at which games are being played. I mean, scrims being played, the scrims we're streaming, they're happening at 7 p.m., 6 p.m. EST. That is midnight to 1 a.m. for EU players. Like, for me, the casting part of it, I don't really struggle with it because I work a lot with American parts, and I don't have like a daytime job or like school or something to go to. But if you look at other people that do have that, especially on weekdays, but also even on Sundays, that's a tough one to ask of you. So for all these
Mm-hmm.
cups, even for the scrims, having that EU region not necessarily locked but available to be played in separately is a very valuable thing to have. So even though it's not there yet, I think it's definitely something that is being looked at as we speak. So we'll see
Mm.
where that goes in the future. I would be for it, and maybe we're gonna get some more EU faces on the broadcast as well for that reason. But that's another story for another time.
Maybe so. Yeah, maybe so. But it does appear that our final scores are all ready to go. So without further ado, let's go ahead and switch on over. Get these top
Top
5. Who is going to
five.
be the new king of solos? G3 Megaverse going to take the entire tournament, the first place prize with 1,248 points. What a day for him to be finished out on. Notably, Darkbreaker is going to take on second place. No surprise there. 1,171 points. And Gigabyte with 943, making 2 first place finishes, notably, especially that last one in game number 6. And of course, Mana Class, let's get these next 2 going. Our favorite player from EU is present here.
Yeah, next, getting number 4 with 897 points, and no ace, 831. Of course, no ace still gets that record for highest exile count for the day, which is still 9. Also, next got 8, so it was actually very close. So two players that had a very high breakout game, but just couldn't perform consistently enough to get into that top 3. Gigabyte, I mean, just did a great job all over today. I think it's really comes down to the consistency of those 4 games. How well did you do in them? And the Megaverse and Darkbakers just had 2 breakout games as well as just 3 very consistently high performing games, and that makes the difference. We always keep talking about consistency. We always keep talking about doing what you need to do in the 4 games. They need to be better than everyone else's 4 games. And that's what Megaverse and Darkbakers truly showed today. Like you said, a new king of these solos in Spellbreak. And maybe we'll see a new one again next time but I think we're all still looking for that team win, for that trios win for someone else.
Notably, getting into that conversation, one name, or really two names that aren't present here on the top five at all, are Kamsky and Elpadog, two of our winners from the trios event last night. So you have to ask, is that fatigue from the previous night affecting today's play, or is it actually just the solo style of improvement from all of our top five finishers here? Definitely one for y'all to be handling in the chat, but we're going to get on to some more stats here so you can get a better breakdown of just how
Woo!
well these players did. And I will break these
Numbers.
down, of course. Look at all these numbers. The darker highlighted areas are going to be who did the best in what specific category. As Mana Class was saying earlier, no ace taking out the single highest exiles in one game. And then we have G3 Megaverse just sweeping all the rest of them. We have average placements of 5.83, average exiles of 5 per game, total exiles being an even 30, and all the rest you can read off for your reading pleasure.
And they're not necessarily that far apart, like compared to other players all the time, but that consistency is what we're talking about. Like I said, that's really what you want to see. The averages of all these scores being the highest is usually what gets you that first place. And Megaverse is just the living statistical example of that right now. As you see on your screen, we of course have got more than just a big stat sheet with a lot of numbers. We've got graphs, we've got pie charts. There's the total damage, total exiles. As
Could
you can
go for
see,
some pie.
Megaverse taking the biggest slices of these cakes most of the time, and the Dark Breakers the second. But you can see how spread out these things are, like how many exiles there are actually up for grabs, and what a small percentage, relatively speaking, you need to take to keep it to be in the top three. 7.6%. It sounds like a lot, or it sounds doesn't sound like much, depending on how you look at it. It's just fascinating to me to see all these stats come out this way, and usually all these stats do add up to the person who wins gets the biggest slice of all these charts.
Of course, and it's a really big number to be named out here is that if you played well enough to get an actual number on your slice of pie, you must be doing pretty well for yourself, namely Megaverse, Dark Breakers, and Gigabyte all earning themselves a nice little number on that pie chart. No one else gets it because you're just not high enough. I'm sorry. Anyway, going on to our next stat sheet, you're going to see a beautiful little bar graph. We love our charts over here. If you like purple, if you like red, you're going to be really happy. As you can see, the average placement score. You can see Megaverse taking the highest bit of that. Actually, notably, one of our highest bars, our second highest bar, Kyrie Caitlin, going to be taking. I believe the number value was 9.33 average placement. So notably, didn't make it into our top five, but very, very nice in terms of placements. So good job
Yeah.
to them. Of course, you have your average damage as well. Megaverse obviously taking the cake there, and it almost goes in line with how they place. We have Megaverse, then Dark Breakers, and then actually next after that one, but Gigabyte not too far behind. So
Yeah.
overall,
And
is your stats great job.
well, I mean, the thing is, you always talk about these stats like we talk about these stats as in like other numbers and what the numbers actually mean. So, if you, for instance, look at Kyrie Caitlin, who has a very high average placement score, then you already know where the area is that Kyrie Caitlin needs to work on, which is do more damage, get more exiles. But staying alive is not the issue. So that's a good start. You have a very good grasp of how you rotate, how you place yourself, how the pace of the game progresses for you as a player, and then all you need to really work on further is maybe be either more aggressive or work on the mechanics. And that's just something that comes with practice. And it's great to see these stats. And that's just an example. I mean, you see the same come out of a few other of these players, right? Like just grabbing a
Mhm.
few others out of the chart here. In the middle, you have Joshua, decent average placement. We saw him win 2 games, so it's not that surprising. And then the question is the average just high because those placements were high, or because you general are placing high enough? So it's all those type of things where, as a player, you can look at these stats and see, what does this translate to in my gameplay, what I can work on for the next time, and where can I see improvement in the situation. So it's not just numbers, it's
Mhm.
not just the fun bars and graphics that pop up. It actually means something if you look at it in terms of gameplay.
Very good points you're bringing up today. Of course, that little explanation is going to conclude our event. I actually never called this out during the duration of our play here, but there was a
No.
pretty nice little prize pool to be had by our competitors here. It was a total
Yeah.
prize pool of $120. First place, will take home $70. Darkbreakers will take home $35, and then Gigabyte right behind will take home 15. And guys, if you would like to support these prize pools, if you'd like to bump that number up for our competitors here, we do have a donate button. 70% of what you give will go directly to the prize pools, and then 30% will go towards all these beautiful graphics, the production squad, as well as that beautiful game counter that we have Nikolai Hexside putting up there in the top left. Nice little improvement. I do like it from a caster's perspective. So hopefully you guys like it too. If you feel like it deserves something, then donations are down in the bottom. Again, 30% goes towards the production team and 70% improves those prize pools. But that is going to conclude the Element Solos Cash Cup Finals. We have a new king of solos, Megaverse. Congratulations. And you can catch our next event. We actually have a brand new event calendar that just went out. We are still deciding on what the next big event will be. But here this next week on Tuesday, you can find yourself at those EU scrims. I'll grab the time for you. It looks like 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we'll have those streamed NA scrims on a Tuesday this time at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. So we'll catch you then. Thank you for joining in. Please be sure to hit that follow button and subscribe if you do feel so inclined. Stick around. We'll go ahead and send a raid. And thank you all for coming again.